The boy I had been supporting turned out to have always resented me. He resented that I was a woman, yet could achieve such great success in my career. He resented that I was a woman, yet could make so much money. He resented that I was a woman, yet could reject his advances and choose to stay single and enjoy life for the rest of my life. So he and his mother tricked me into coming back and killed me, dumping my body deep in the cold mountains. Only then did I learn that he also had a frail, kind younger sister, who carried my remains step by step out of the mountains and contacted my parents so they could bring me home. After being reborn, I chose to find that abused girl, help her fly out of the mountains, and become an eagle soaring with outstretched wings. I jolted awake, feeling as if I had just had a nightmare. In the dream, Zhou Yan and his mother Wang Qiuju's ferocious, terrifying faces kept enlarging before my eyes, blood gushing from my throat, and the suffocating feeling was almost about to swallow me whole. I gasped for breath, looking at the exquisitely decorated, brightly lit room, lying on a soft, oversized bed, and thought in a daze, wasn't I already dead, killed by the boy I had supported and his mother working together? I had supported Zhou Yan for 10 years, from the age of 15 to 25. It was fair to say I had watched this boy grow up, almost like half a mother to him. I put him through the best high school in the city and covered all his tuition and living expenses. Zhou Yan also lived up to expectations. His grades were always among the best, and he even got into a very excellent 985 university for college, so I supported him through college as well, and at his pleading, I was even preparing to continue funding his graduate studies. I always believed Zhou Yan was a conscientious and down-to-earth child, so almost anything he wanted, I would buy and give to him: books, clothes, shoes, a phone, a tablet, a laptop, and so on. I also visited him every now and then and paid a great deal of attention to this child. The only small flaw was that Zhou Yan was a little vain. He had once asked me to buy him a pair of limited edition running shoes worth more than 1,000 yuan, and that was one of the few times I refused him. A pair of running shoes costing over 1,000 yuan was not cheap, and for a child from a family struggling even to make ends meet, it was not appropriate. I explained the reasoning behind it to him, and in the end told him, "You need to earn money yourself to buy something like this." Although Zhou Yan was disappointed, he said he understood. I also understood this behavior of his. It was inevitable for children to compare themselves with one another, and being a little vain was normal. As long as he was properly guided, that would be enough. And Zhou Yan's mother also seemed to be a very warm and simple woman. From time to time, she would send me some local specialties, and every time she saw me, she would smile. I felt that both mother and son were kind and simple, so I was happy to help them financially. At the beginning of the year, I completed a major project at the company and got promoted again. I was earning more, had moved into a larger house, and my future looked bright. The next time Zhou Yan's mother sent me something, I gave her my new address. Zhou Yan asked me why I had changed places, so I told him I had moved, and also told him about my promotion, using it as a kind of encouragement for him. "You're a smart kid, study hard and finish your graduate degree, and it'll be much easier to find a job after you graduate. Once you make a lot of money, you'll be able to buy your own house, and then you can bring your mother to live in the city too." Zhou Yan was silent for a moment, then said that it was winter break now and he wanted to come see me, and also do some sightseeing. I agreed. When I was still living in the old house, Zhou Yan had been there many times, so with the new place it would also help him get familiar with the route. I went to the airport to pick him up. The once thin and undersized child had now grown increasingly tall and upright, and as soon as we met, he told me that he had once again come in first at the academy. I was very happy and told him, "I'll reimburse the cost of this trip, and I'll give you an extra 800 yuan as a reward. Go buy yourself something you like." Zhou Yan's eyes lit up, and, just like before, he said joyfully, "Thank you, sis." He seemed to really like my house. He wandered back and forth through different rooms several times, saying enviously, "Sis, your new house is so big." I smiled and patted his shoulder. "If you like something, you have to work hard to get it." Zhou Yan stayed with me for a week and visited all the scenic spots in the surrounding area. He usually lives at my home, and he's very well behaved and obedient. He even takes the initiative to cook and do housework. I feel that sponsoring this boy was one of the rightest things I've ever done. Then one day, Zhou Yan suddenly asked me if I could accompany him home for a trip. His mother really wanted to thank me in person. I hadn't gone traveling in a long time, so I agreed, thinking that after seeing Zhou Yan's mother, I could also take the chance to visit the surrounding areas. So we went to his home together. Zhou Yan's mother was, as always, warm and enthusiastic. she prepared a table full of dishes, repeatedly thanked me for my guidance and support, and sincerely invited me to stay for the night and leave tomorrow. I agreed with a smile. What a gentle and kind family they were. After dinner, Zhou Yan took me for a walk in the yard behind his house to help digest the meal. Unexpectedly, he shyly confessed to me, saying, "Sister, I like you, can you be with me?" I was very surprised and firmly turned him down. I had never realized that he actually had these thoughts. I told him that I was someone who chose to stay single, enjoyed living alone, and did not want to date or have a family. Besides, my feelings for Zhou Yan were nothing more than those of a pure benefactor and an elder, and I hoped he could grow into someone useful to society. His confession was truly beyond my expectations, and I realized I could no longer treat him the way I did when he was a child. It would be best to keep some distance. Zhou Yan looked very downcast. On the way back, he didn't say a word, and after he escorted me to my room, he left. That night, for some reason, I fell asleep especially quickly and deeply. I vaguely felt my body swaying, but my eyelids were so heavy I couldn't lift them. When I woke up, I found that I was no longer in my room, too. I was lying on a cold floor, with iron chains binding my limbs and neck. My clothes were in tatters, and not a single part of my body felt okay. I was cold and in pain all over. I realized that I seemed to have been kidnapped and imprisoned, and overwhelming panic swallowed me. Is anyone there? Help! I tried to shout for help, but my throat felt like it was burning too, and I couldn't make much of a sound. The iron gate clanged with a loud rattle, then opened. Zhou Yan walked in and looked down at me from above. I had never thought that face, which had always seemed so honest and docile, could look so terrifying. Ching, the way you're lying on the ground right now looks just like a dog. Ha ha ha. Zhou Yan's eyes were filled with unfamiliar contempt and mania. After being insulted like that by him, I was then kicked hard in the abdomen, and the pain made me convulse on the spot. You're just a woman, what right do you have to refuse me? Huh, you bitch, you don't even know where all that money came from. Don't you know it in your heart? You've probably already been used up by plenty of men, so stop pretending to be so pure in front of me. My mom told me women are born to serve men. You're supposed to serve me, got it? And you still dare to refuse me? You make so much money and only bother to buy me those crappy little things to brush me off. You wear clothes that cost over 1,000 yuan, but you only buy me stuff that costs a few hundred. You made me get laughed at by my classmates for being poor. It's all your fault, you bitch. I asked you for a pair of limited edition shoes and you wouldn't even buy them for me. You even lectured me and told me not to be vain. Women like you are the vain ones, right? Do you even have the right to say that? Huh? He kept punching me over and over, and all I could do was howl in pain, curled up in the corner and sobbing. It hurts so much. Can someone please save me? Why are they doing this to me? I don't know how long I was locked up. I was constantly subjected to all kinds of humiliation from Zhou Yan, as well as beatings from him and Wang Qiuju. I was living in a state worse than neither human nor ghost, barely clothed, my body covered in wounds and scabs, with dried black blood all over me. But that was when I discovered that Zhou Yan's home actually had a little girl too. It was impossible to tell her age. She looked bloodless and was so thin she was nothing but skin and bones. Every day, it was she who brought me food and fed me. She never spoke, and her body was covered in wounds too. She was numb, like a zombie, but she would secretly clean my body and tend to my wounds, and sometimes she would hold me and cry silently. Whenever that happened, I would laboriously raise my arm to pat her head and wipe away her tears. She secretly tried many ways to open my chains, like cutting them with a knife or prying them apart with a wire, but none of them worked. I wrote my mother's phone number on her palm, and she nodded and ran out quickly, but soon she was dragged back, beaten to the brink of death by Zhou Yan, blood streaming from her nose and mouth, looking as if she might not survive. Zhou Yan threw her in front of me and sneered, "Still hoping she'd save you." I shed so many tears that I became increasingly numb, more and more haggard, like a madman. Finally, one day, when Zhou Yan was humiliating me, I pulled out a small piece of broken glass I had secretly hidden before and, with all my strength, stabbed it into his throat. It was a shard from the last time Zhou Yan got drunk and smashed a bottle against my back, leaving it shattered. That time my skin was torn open and my wretched screams went on, and Zhou Yan almost beat me to death, but I had no strength left, and the piece of glass wasn't sharp enough. It only cut open Zhou Yan's neck and missed the carotid artery. He was instantly enraged. He yanked the shard out and shoved it into my eye, then punched me again and again until I was a bloody pulp. "You dare hurt my son, you bitch," Zhou Yan's mother cursed as she rushed in and slit my throat open completely with a knife. They dumped my corpse in the wilderness, but my soul did not disappear right away. Instead, it drifted back with Zhou Yan to his home. I watched as Zhou Yan took the keys and went to my house, sold off everything valuable, then returned to his own turf, bribed the local police to issue my accidental death certificate, forged my will, and finally took all my assets for himself. My body could not be laid to rest, and my soul seemed destined to drift like this, watching Zhou Yan use my money to buy people's loyalty everywhere. With his impressive academic credentials, he landed a good job at a great company, made connections with some powerful people, and later teamed up with them to start a business. They made a fortune and became well-known wealthy merchants in the area, gaining both fame and wealth. Zhou Yan also bought the large house he had once longed for, lavishly decorated inside, with guests coming and going endlessly. I saw that they were still often beating that little girl who had once brought me meals, and only then did I realize she was actually Zhou Yan's biological younger sister. Named Zhou Pei, she was already 20, but long-term malnutrition and abuse had made her look only 14 or 15. Zhou Yan and his mother believed the girl was a cursed child, filthy, a piece of property, anything but a person. They made her do all the housework and serve the mother and son, but she often ran into the mountains and woods when Zhou Yan and his mother were away. I think she may have wanted to look for my remains. I saw my parents turn gray overnight when they learned of my death. They did not believe I had died in an accident and never gave up searching for my body, but my body had already rotted away in the deep mountains, until one day, I saw the petite girl in Zhou Yan's family break free from her restraints and run out because she did not want to be sold to an old man. As she darted through the woods, she somehow stumbled over my remains by sheer accident. She seemed to sense something. She crouched down, ignoring the filth, and carefully examined them. Through the iron chain around the neck of the skeleton, she recognized me. The chain she had tried countless times to break open, but had never succeeded. She carried my decaying bones on her back while crying, her soles rubbed raw and bleeding. I had no idea how long she walked. Many times she almost got discovered, but she would hide, wait for people to pass, and then keep going. I also had no idea where she got such determination, using her tiny body to carry me out of the mountains and into the crowded streets, so that everyone could see. A child covered in blood carrying a skeleton was such a horrifying scene that it eventually alerted the city police. The police came to take the girl and my bones away, had a forensic doctor perform an autopsy, and confirmed my identity. The girl actually still remembered the phone number I had once written for her. She finally dialed it, and I heard her say haltingly, "I found, big sister, uncle and aunt. Please come and take sister home." It turned out she could speak, but her voice was hoarse, as if her throat had been damaged. Her parents wept over the phone, heartbroken to the point of despair, and everyone was moved by it. My remains were cremated, and then taken back by my parents, whose eyes had nearly been blinded by tears, to be buried in the place where I had grown up. At last, my soul returned to its homeland. 3. When I opened my eyes, I was once again lying on the soft, comfortable bed in the hotel. Yes, in my previous life it had been like this too. I was traveling here recently, and by chance I ran into Zhou Yan's family. Seeing the thin boy working in the fields under the blazing sun, and still reading and studying during his breaks, his diligence and thirst for knowledge stirred my pity, and I offered to sponsor him. The phone rang, and the two characters Zhou Yan were clearly displayed on the screen. I was startled. I glanced at the date. Today, unbelievably, was the day I was supposed to sponsor Zhou Yan. I sneered, "Fund him, dream on. In this life, I'll repay kindness with kindness and revenge with revenge." This time, I brought 2 bodyguards with me and put on the airs of a spoiled heiress who was not to be trifled with before going to the financial aid center. Zhou Yan and his mother were already there. In my previous life, I felt sorry for that thin but hard-working boy and, without a second thought, offered him support. I never expected I'd end up supporting an ungrateful wretch. I watched coldly as the two of them played the part of the pitiful poor, talking about how hard life was at home and how badly Zhou Yan wanted to study. They were putting on quite the convincing show. I looked down at that child from a position of superiority and said with disgust, "He's too old, and too ugly. Do you have any other children in your family? If not, forget it. I don't want to sponsor a kid I can't stand to look at." Mother Zhou's expression changed at once. After all, I had seemed gentle and easy to talk to before, so she had assumed it was a sure thing that I would sponsor her son. Zhou Yan also lifted his head abruptly, and the vicious look in his eyes startled me. There was absolutely no way a 15-year-old child could have such a gaze. Could Zhou Yan have been reborn too? The next second, he withdrew that look and started crying. Boo-hoo, sister, why are you saying that about me? I work really hard at school, can you help me? The director of the aid center also hurriedly tried to persuade me. Although this kid is thin and frail, he's not ugly, look, his features aren't bad, he just hasn't had enough to eat. And is starving, I said impatiently. I said he's ugly, so he's ugly, he's as ugly as a pig. If there are no other kids, I'll switch to another place. I'm not giving out this 3,000 yuan a month to just anyone. I deliberately brought up the amount of the sponsorship, knowing that a greedy woman like Mother Zhou would definitely not give up. 3,000 yuan may not seem like much in the city, but for people like them living deep in the mountains, it's practically a fortune, half a year's living expenses, and it can let them live a good life. Sure enough, Zhou's mother immediately panicked and hurriedly said, yes, I still have another child, it's just a money-losing burden. I frowned. What do you mean, a money-losing burden? Zhou's mother said awkwardly, my daughter. I let out a cold snort. A daughter is a money-losing burden. Are you out of your mind? Bring her here and let me see. Zhou Yan lunged over and grabbed my leg. Sister, I know I was wrong, don't abandon me, please. Sponsor me, I promise I'll treat you well. At a glance from me, the bodyguards immediately stepped forward and pulled him aside. I picked up my bag as if to leave. Your son is like a madman, there's no way I'm sponsoring him. Since you're being so unreasonable, then don't expect to get a single cent. Mother Zhou immediately knelt down and cried out, benefactor, don't go, I'll have someone bring my daughter over right away. Please take another look. I reluctantly agreed, tossed her a red bill, and said contemptuously, give you half an hour to bring the person here. My time is very valuable, and I can't wait long. If it weren't for that girl, I wouldn't have been here arguing with her at all. This woman cared about money more than anything else, and sure enough, after giving her some benefits, although this place was still some distance from the Zhou family, the Zhou family's daughter still appeared in front of me within half an hour. She had been put into an ill-fitting new outfit, which also looked like it had been bought in a hurry. Her face had been wiped down too, probably because she was afraid I still wouldn't be satisfied. I looked at her timid eyes and her emaciated body, and a surge of rage welled up inside me. Zhou Yan and his mother are both trash. The girl absolutely cannot be left in their family any longer. I put on a very interested expression, carefully studied the girl's face for a moment, and then said to Zhou's mother, I think she looks pretty good and suits my taste. How about this? I don't have any children of my own and want to adopt her. Name your price. Zhou's mother never expected things to turn this way and was immediately dumbfounded. This, how can that be? I was still waiting to raise her and then sell her, marry her off. I impatiently interrupted her. 30,000 yuan, is that okay? If not, forget it. I can just go to an orphanage and adopt another one. Zhou's mother had hardly ever seen that much money. She was instantly dazed by the sudden windfall, but Zhou Yan tugged at her and said quietly, 3,000 yuan a month, and in 10 months we'll have 30,000. If we sell that money-losing burden to her, where are we going to get more money later? Zhou's mother nodded repeatedly. My son really is smart, she said firmly. No, we're not selling our daughter, you can only support us. I gave a mocking smile. Then forget it, let's go and adopt one from an orphanage. Seeing that I was really about to leave, Mother Zhou suddenly knelt down again and wailed, 30,000 it is, then 30,000, I only have this one daughter, you must treat her well. I smiled, very well, then let's go handle the paperwork now. Zhou Yan glared at me with a sinister, deathly stare, making me think of how vicious he had been when he beat me in my past life. In this life, rot in that mountain ravine for all I care for. With my money power, the transfer and adoption procedures were completed quickly. The girl's original name was Zhou Pei. I changed it to Chen Chaoan, hoping she would have a smooth, peaceful life. The little girl was very quiet, with a dim gaze. She probably didn't know what else she would have to face in the future and was scared in her heart. I comfortingly rubbed her head and said to her, don't be afraid. I took Chen Chaoan's hand and was about to leave when Zhou Yan grabbed my wrist from behind, his expression frenzied. Chen Qingqing, did you also get reborn? It was you who turned me into that state, so you have to take responsibility. Why is it that on the second chance around, you won't sponsor me anymore? Why is it that you, a woman, have such good luck? The bodyguard grabbed him and shoved him away. He lost his footing and staggered, falling to the ground. Zhou Mu rushed over and started crying and shouting at the top of her lungs again. Oh heavens, Why did you push my son? He's still a child. How could you be so heartless? Ching, you bitch, you hurt him. So you must pay our medical expenses, trying to extort people so brazenly. I was almost laughed out of anger. I slapped her across the face. So what if I hit him? Your son is acting like a lunatic. Don't be so shameless after getting any courtesy. Keep pestering me and I'll have someone beat him to death. Do you believe me? And medical expenses. All the injuries on my daughter were caused by you people. Medical expenses are 10,000 yuan. Hand it over. My expression was dark and menacing, and the 2 bodyguards behind me looked like grim reapers. Making her shiver, she could only cry and sniffle without daring to say another word. Dragging Zhou Yan away, I took Chen Chaoan to the hospital and had her undergo a comprehensive physical examination. She was gaunt and frail, severely malnourished, and covered in shocking scars, which made the doctors look at me strangely. They probably thought I was the one abusing her. The little girl was still much like she had been in her previous life, hardly saying a word at all, but after the examination, the doctor said her throat was perfectly fine. She probably just didn't like talking. I stroked her hair and said gently, "From now on, I'm your mom, I'll protect you, and no one will ever be able to hurt you again. Do you believe me?" Chen Chaoan finally looked up at me, tears glimmering in her eyes. This little girl may never in her life have received even the slightest kindness from the outside world. She was only 10, yet she was already living in a way that left her unable to see a future. "Mom," she finally choked out. It was not the hoarse, unpleasant voice from her past life, but a clear and bright teenage girl's voice. I held her tightly, a relieved smile appearing on my face. This time in my life, I had finally been one step ahead and rescued her before she suffered those irreversible harms. "Mom's name is Ching. From now on, you'll take Mom's surname and be called Chen Chaoan." I smiled as I coaxed her. "Our Chaoan will surely be able to head toward peace and live a smooth, peaceful life." Chen Chaoan buried her face in my arms and cried bitterly, her sobs racking her body as if she wanted to pour out all the grievances she had endured in the past. I gently patted her back, my eyes growing wet with tears as well. "Chaoan, in my previous life you saved me, carried my remains out of the mountains, freed my soul, and gave me the chance to be reborn. In this life, I will spare no effort to protect you, cherish you, and love you, so that you become the happiest, most joyful child in the entire world." When Chen Chaoan had recovered enough, I took her back to my parents' home and told them I had adopted the child. My parents both loved children. My mother pulled her into her arms and said with heartache, "Why is this child so thin? She's all bones. Is she sick?" As she spoke, she kept stuffing all kinds of food into Chaoan's hands. Chaoan had never received so much kindness and affection before. Holding the orange in her hands, she looked at me a little at a loss. I smiled and gently pinched her slightly fairer, fuller cheeks, which had been nourished a bit over the past 2 days. "Do you know these are Grandpa and Grandma? They'll love you just like Mom does." "Grandpa, Grandma," Chaoan called out softly, and my mom happily stuffed a big red envelope into his hands. Take it, buy something you like, and if there's anything else you want, tell Grandma. Grandma will buy it for you." Holding the red envelope, tears started falling from Chaoan's eyes again. He choked out, thank you, Grandma." My mom was startled and, heartbroken, pulled Chaoan into her arms to comfort him. There, don't cry, child. Have you been wronged? Tell Grandma, and I'll stand up for you." Chaoan kept shaking his head. "No wrong, I'm just too happy." Mom gently wiped away her tears. "You should smile when you're happy. Why are you crying?" Your mom used to love laughing when she was little. If someone teased her even a little, she'd giggle non-stop like a little chick. The way she described it made Chaoan laugh, even with tears still in her eyes. The corners of her eyes were already crinkling. My own eyes also grew a little damp. My parents had always been such kind and gentle people, nourishing every child with love. In my past life, they had treated Zhou Yan very well too, but they never imagined he was such a piece of trash, the one who killed their most beloved daughter. I also remembered how they simply refused to believe I was dead, stormed off to confront Zhou Yan, only to be beaten and injured by the people Zhou Yan brought with him. After that, they kept running from place to place searching for me, filing police reports and appeals everywhere, their only wish being to find their daughter again, alive, if possible, and if not, then at least her body. Then, when they truly saw my bones, they cried so hard it shattered their hearts, as though they no longer wished to live. Thank you to my dad and Mom for not giving up on me, and thank you to Chen Chaoan for saving my life. For the rest of my life, I will make Zhou Yan and her son pay the price. Blood for blood. I used my connections to get Chen Chaoan into a nearby middle school, where the teaching atmosphere was pretty good and the teachers were very kind. I was often busy with work, so to take care of Chaoan, my parents also moved over to live with us. But no matter how busy or tired I was every day, I would always make time to hold Chaoan and tell her bedtime stories, making up for the childhood the little girl had missed. Under the loving care of my parents and me, Chen Chaoan slowly came out of the shadows and became more and more lively, cheerful, outstanding, and beautiful. She made new friends and was also very popular with her classmates and teachers at school, but Chaoan still depended on me the most. She would often cling to me as soon as I got home, sticking to me tightly like a little piece of sticky taffy, sharing everything that happened at school with me, and asking what I had eaten today, what I had done, and how I was feeling. She was like a thoughtful little angel, gentle and kind, loving me with all her heart, and gradually, I came to love her more and more too. What had begun as gratitude slowly turned into true love, and I treated her as if she were my own child. 5. Our family lived a warm and happy life. I had not forgotten Zhou Yan and his mother, those ungrateful ingrates either, and I kept hiring people to keep an eye on them, with regular updates reported to me. Sure enough, after getting that 30,000 yuan, Zhou Yan and his mother spent recklessly for quite a while, buying the best clothes and shoes. Zhou Yan was adored by countless people at school and grew smug and conceited, accustomed to spending money extravagantly. He quickly blew through the 30,000 yuan. To survive, they began selling off the things in their home, until all that was left was an empty house. In the end, even the house was sold, and that money carried them through for another 2 years. Zhou Yan could not settle down at all. His mind was full of thoughts about taking crooked paths to make big money. The studies he had once been proud of in his past life plummeted, and by the time the 3 years of high school were over, he couldn't even achieve the grades for a junior college. At school, the teachers would sigh and shake their heads whenever they saw him, lamenting how such a promising seed had been reduced to this by his own self-destruction. Zhou Yan's expression darkened. What was the use of studying? Money was the most real thing of all. A bunch of fools. Since the family's money had run out, he could only keep wearing the same old clothes and eat the cheap meals in the cafeteria. His mentality became increasingly distorted and sensitive, and he felt like everyone around him was mocking him. The person who reported to me said that the mother and son even got into arguments every couple of days, and would physically fight each other too. I couldn't help but laugh when I heard that. Actually, from the moment I confirmed that Zhou Yan had been reborn, I knew he was bound to fall into the mire in this life, because in his last life, wealth came too quickly to Zhou Yan, and he climbed too high. Someone as vain as him could not accept the feeling of falling from a great height, and he could not endure a hard life either. He had already become unable to calm down and study, then slowly work his way back up. Of course, even if he really had that kind of willpower, I'd still arrange all sorts of temptations, wine, women, and nightlife, to lure him into corruption. How could I possibly let scum like him have a chance to get back on his feet? That day I got a call from Zhou Yan. At first I wanted to reject it outright, but I was also curious to see what kind of trick he was planning, so I answered it. Chen Qingqing, transfer some money to me. He spoke in a bossy, imperious tone over the phone. I laughed in anger. Who do you think you are, asking me for money? Are you out of your mind, Chen Qingqing? I'm telling you, if you don't transfer the money, I'll sue you for child trafficking. Zhou Yan threatened me in a panic. Child trafficking? I sounded like I'd just heard the biggest joke in the world. I legally adopted the child, so go ahead and sue me, asshole. After saying that, I hung up the phone. I shouldn't have taken the call in the first place just to piss myself off. The next day, the person who was reporting to me called. Miss Chen, Zhou Yan and his mother are gone. They haven't come home since last night, and may have gone somewhere else. I immediately became alert. The house we're living in now was the one I lived in for more than 20 years before I changed to a new one in my previous life, and Zhou Yan knew that too. He also knew very well where my parents' place was. I suspected Zhou Yan was coming to stir up trouble. In the afternoon, I got off work early and personally went to pick up Chaoan, planning to have her and my parents stay in a hotel for a while, but just as I reached the entrance of the neighborhood, I saw Zhou Yan and his mother standing there, being stopped by the security guard and not allowed in. When they saw Chaoan and me, Mrs. Zhou immediately dragged Zhou Yan over at a run, looking at Chaoan's fair, pretty little face and her exquisite, expensive dress. It was obvious that she was living very well, and the malice and jealousy in Her eyes were almost impossible to hide. She knelt before Zhaoan, crying her eyes out, tears and snot streaming down her face. Daughter, now that you're living a good life, are you just going to ignore whether your mother lives or dies? Back then, your mother was so good to you, just so you could go to a good school and wear nice clothes. I had your Aunt Chen adopt you, and now I'm almost starving to death, and you won't even help me a little. I can't go on living. It was the after-school rush, and many people coming to pick up their children were passing by. Seeing this scene, they couldn't help but stop and start pointing and whispering, "Oh, what a pitiful old woman, this little girl is so heartless, she won't even care about her own birth mother, and she's even bringing her son along. He looks all ragged and shabby, while only the daughter is dressed up so well. She's raised an ungrateful wretch, just to live a good life. He abandoned his own mother," someone else also said. Quietly, "That little girl doesn't look that old either. I guess there's nothing she can do about it. Isn't there a man following her? Can't the two of them even support themselves?" Zhaoan looked at her own biological mother with a deathly pale face. She now understood that what she had once suffered was abuse, that it was wrong, but the habits formed over many years made her cower and cover her head the moment she saw this woman. Falling into a self-protective posture, I pulled Zhaoan close and said loudly, "You old lady, are you out of your mind? You abused your own children, and now you want to sell her off to some old man as a child bride. If I hadn't taken pity and rescued her, she would have been ruined by you already. You've already taken tens of thousands of yuan from us, and now you open your mouth and demand 200,000 more. That's too much. We really don't have it, the two of us. An orphan and widowed mother, are struggling to get by as it is. You've got hands and feet. And you've got such a tall son to help you. Can't you do some work, please? Just spare us too." Sure enough, as soon as the people around heard it, their expressions changed immediately. So they had sold their daughter and still wanted money. The mood shifted at once. "Bah, so shameless." An older woman immediately spat in disdain at them. Exactly. You sold your daughter for glory, and you still have the nerve to say it out loud. 200,000. That's robbery and extortion. Girl, you should call the police right away." Zhou Yan was also staring at Zhaoan, his eyes burning with fury. That money-losing sister of his had actually stolen everything that should have belonged to him. Now she was adored and envied by everyone like a princess, while he was hungry and cold every day, forced to endure contempt and gossip. Zhou Yan could no longer hold back and shouted, "Why do you get to live so well? All of this should be mine, mine. You bitch, and you, Chen Qingqing, why would you rather adopt this money-losing loser than adopt me?" Why, everyone around him was so startled that they took a step back, and more murmurs rose up. To Zhou Yan, they sounded like the whispers of countless demons, all of them mocking him. How dare they mock him? He should clearly have become a big boss, possessing endless wealth and power. It's all Chen Qingqing's fault. I looked at the fury in Zhou Yan's eyes and felt that his descent was still too slow. Keeping him here was really dangerous. But since he was already 18, it was time to turn up the heat. 6. I stopped paying them any mind and took Zhao An's hand as we entered the residential complex. With the security guard watching, they couldn't get in either. After getting home, I sent Zhou Yan a text message. "Isn't all you want money? Considering we used to have some connection, I've arranged a job for you back in your hometown. Someone will take you around to make big money and become a boss. Stop bothering me all the time, or I'll have someone put you in for a few years. There are plenty of people inside to take care of you." I once again flexed the power of money and arranged a job for him at a local bar. As long as he honestly sold drinks, he'd make money, with daily pay, and there was even a casino downstairs, a place steeped in wine, women, and luxury like this was perfect for Zhou Yan. Sure enough, the person reporting to me soon told me that they had found Zhou Yan again, and he really had gone to the bar I mentioned. As I expected, Zhou Yan had no interest at all in selling liquor. Instead, he quickly became obsessed with gambling. The first time he went, he put in all the only 500 yuan he had on him, and under the dealer's deliberate manipulation, he made more than 20,000 in one night. After that, things spiraled out of control, but sometimes he won money and sometimes he lost it. Zhou Yan's appetite grew bigger and bigger, and he kept increasing his bets by multiples. He lost everything, so he started borrowing money from the casino, paying no mind to the steep interest, always thinking he could win it back in one hand and pay it all off. I know Zhou Yan all too well. He is a violent and extreme person. When I was still an afloat spirit, I had already noticed that when he did business, he liked to put all his money into a single project. If he made money, he would get so excited he could hardly contain himself. if he lost, he would become even more determined, so he must have really loved a game like gambling. Zhou Yan lost more and more, and the interest kept piling up higher and higher. He was already completely trapped in it. This time, he really could never climb out again. After hearing this, I smiled and put down my wine glass, then picked a piece of braised pork for Chowan. Eat more, baby, you're still too thin. Chowan smiled sweetly at me. Mom, you should eat too. Stop making phone calls all the time. I looked with satisfaction at the little girl growing more and more beautiful. By now, she had been raised to shed all traces of her former dark, skinny frailty, becoming fair and tall, like a little angel. My mom said cheerfully, Ching, why do I feel like Chowan is looking more and more like you? I took a close look, and sure enough, he did. That proves Chao Ning should be my child. I gently kissed the little girl on the forehead. I got another call from Zhou Yan, who was crying and screaming hysterically, please, save me. They're going to cut off my hand. You can't just stand by and do nothing, I said slowly. Why cut off your hand? Zhou Yan was crying so hard he could barely make sense of his words. I really know I was wrong. Sister, please save me. I never wanted to do those things before. It was all my mom forcing me. I didn't want to kill you. Please save me. Zhou Yan, you look like a dog right now. Oh, sorry, that's really an insult to dogs. You're worse than a pig or a dog. Why didn't you think of today when you kidnapped me? This is all what you deserve. Chin, even as a ghost, I won't let you go. I hung up the phone and left those voices behind. Be a ghost? I've already done that. If being a ghost could bring revenge, you'd have died in your last life. The next time I heard from Zhou Yan was when he had his hands and feet cut off and was sold to a brothel, where he was used by men with perverse desires to vent their lust and toy with him. But it seemed his mind had gone bad too. He would often scream and shout, yelling things like, I'm going to become a big boss in the future, start my own company. How dare you treat me like this? Others just took him for a madman. Actually, Zhou Yan looked pretty decent. With a little grooming, his features were quite presentable, so it was no surprise at all that those perverts had set their sights on him. All I can say is that evil people are punished by worse evil. As for Zhou Yan's mother, because all the family's money had been squandered by Zhou Yan, she didn't even have a place to live. After being beaten and abused repeatedly by debt collectors, she eventually developed mental problems. At such an old age, she could only survive by picking up trash and begging outside. A crazy woman wandering around outside being targeted by all sorts of demons and monsters wouldn't be surprising at all. Her fate naturally wouldn't be any good. What goes around comes around. By the way, Chowan, Mom wants to move. Where would you like to live? I asked the little girl. With a smile, snuggling in my arms, Chowan rubbed against me coquettishly. Wherever Mom goes, I'll go too, as long as I can be with Mom and Grandpa and Grandma. That's enough. Chowan is already 18 this year and has just finished the college entrance exam. This outstanding girl has been admitted to a top university in Jing City, so I'm preparing to leave here with my whole family and move to Jing City. It's also a way to put an end to everything that came before, and start over with Chaogan as the starting point from now on. With mountains high and waters long, Chaogan and I will be like two eagles, flying ever higher and spreading our wings to soar across the vast sky. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My sister and I were reborn on the eve of the horror game. This time, she rushed into the arms of the white-haired boy first, playing games alone is too scary. Brother, protect me. Everyone was puzzled, because the white-haired boy was slender and looked like a weak fighter, but I saw things clearly. She had also been reborn and knew that the white-haired boy was the final boss of the Blood Castle. In my previous life, I cleared the game with ease, all because the big boss had my back, but my sister didn't know. The boss protected me on a whim. What he truly loved was luring female players into falling for him, only to devour them whole. As for that humble peachwood sword she looked down on, once maxed out, it could slay anyone in its path, gods or mortals alike. Welcome to the S-level dungeon, Crimson Castle. Survive in this instance for 1 week to clear it. Before officially entering the game, you may freely choose items from the room. Remember, you can only take 1. Initial players, 10. Remaining, 10. The selection passage will disappear within 10 minutes. Wishing all players an enjoyable game. A blood-red moon rose in the sky outside the castle, and the system's playful prompt sounded in my ears. The long table was filled with a dazzling array of cold weapons to choose from, but there were only 9 in total. While there were 10 players, this meant that one person would have to face the supernatural beings empty-handed. The NPC named Farad, who looked like a white-haired youth, stood stiffly by the table, waiting to explain the use of each weapon to us. Su Qian couldn't wait to throw herself into his arms, her tone shy, since the system says only one item can be taken. I guess picking a person is fine too, hee. Playing games alone is too scary, brother, protect me. Falad's ears turned crimson, and he reluctantly agreed, with pleasure, beautiful lady. His pale skin gained a healthy flush, and combined with his strikingly handsome, androgynous face, it dazzled the female players present. Su Qian gave me a triumphant smile. I instantly realized that Su Qian, like me, had been reborn. In my previous life, I didn't manage to grab a suitable weapon, so I lived in constant fear during every round of the game. It was only by staying clear-headed under Farad's sweet talk and mind control that I barely managed to clear the game. Su Qian only saw Farad's favoritism toward me, but she didn't notice. When he said those touching words of love, he was staring at my head, practically drooling. Great, no need to envy anymore. That peachwood sword she didn't want is mine now. The instance has officially begun. Please, players, take your positions. Mission: evade the pursuit of the overseer and search for the hidden treasures scattered throughout the manor. Friendly reminder: blood-sucking bats guard the vicinity of the treasures. The overseer, alerted by ultrasonic calls, will arrive within 2 minutes. With a ding-dong prompt, the player is teleported to the manor. The blood corpses swarm out, sniffing the scent as they slowly approach the player. Blood corpses, which are at least elite monsters in regular dungeons, are mere minions here, indicating the difficulty of the dungeon. The air is filled with the smell of rotting flesh, as the blood corpses drag their long tongues on the ground, emitting mournful wails from their throats. As the distance grew closer, the timid bespectacled man screamed in terror. In the next second, the blood corpse suddenly turned around and swarmed over him, devouring him completely. Heart-wrenching screams echoed through the sky. The players watched as the bespectacled man cried out for help, their faces showing expressions of pity, yet not a single person dared to step forward to rescue him. Beads of cold sweat dripped down, and the atmosphere was as silent as death. Veteran players immediately noticed that the blood corpse had its eyes gouged out, so it could only track people by sound and scent. I made a gesture for silence and tiptoed away, following the memories from my past life. I planned to retrieve the hidden treasure near the floor-to-ceiling window, before I could move more than a few steps. Su Qian knocked me to the ground, letting out a soft whimper. Oh dear, rushing into Farad's arms. So scary, brother, protect me. She bumped into me with such force that I ended up in close contact with the ground. Bang! The moment I was knocked to the ground, my heart nearly stopped on the spot. A massive horde of corpses turned their gaze toward me in unison, opening their bloody maws as they lunged forward. A critical moment, I suddenly sprang up and chopped off the head of the blood corpse. Seeing that I was fine, Su Qian's disappointment was evident, her face turning green with anger. Felad watched me with great interest, his earlier shy expression fading away, like a beautiful venomous snake closely eyeing its prey. The other players seized the opportunity, quietly dispersing to search for the secret treasure. After dealing with a certain number of blood corpses, the peachwood sword reached level 2, gaining a certain deterrent effect, and the number of actively attacking blood corpses decreased. I struggled to kill the last one around me and climbed up a tree to rest briefly. Before I could catch my breath, a vampire bat lurking in the tree bit my arm and began sucking fiercely. I winced in pain, frowning as I crushed the blood-sucking bat. Suddenly remembering something, after some fumbling around, I indeed found the hidden treasure on the tree branch. A dark shadow in the distance was approaching me. It was the overseer. I jumped down from the tree and ran frantically in the opposite direction. During this period, I encountered countless eerie beings, most of which were on par with the blood corpse in strength. When there were few, I would confront them head-on, treating it as a way to accumulate experience for the peachwood sword. When there were many, I would either hide or simply run away. By the time I reached the exit, I was utterly exhausted, my throat burning as if on fire. Su Qian, dressed in bright clothes and full of energy, stood in stark contrast to me. She flirted with Efrad, laughing so hard that her whole body shook. Seeing me return alive, she was quite disappointed, but she quickly composed herself and, with the air of a victor, boasted to me, "Sister really is unlucky. Under Efrad's guidance, we found the secret treasure without any effort. Isn't it tough fighting zombies desperately? If you kneel down and beg me now, I might still remember our old friendship and ask my dear to help you out." So quickly it went from brother to dear, shows how fast their relationship has progressed. Mentioning Farad, the players' faces faintly showed gratitude, pitying him as a pitiful and strange being with a tragic background. The brief interaction led to a qualitative leap in the player's attitude toward Farid. I glanced at the weapons of the people present. Indeed, their appearances hadn't changed at all, still stuck at level 1. I hefted the third-grade peachwood sword and, without a word, slapped Su Qian across the face. My hand's strength was already considerable, coupled with the weapon's stat bonuses. That slap knocked out several of Su Qian's teeth, drawing blood. Su Qian winced in pain. "What's wrong with you?" I wiped the blood from my hand. "I'll hit you whenever I want. Do I need to pick a time? You damn green tea bitch. That's payback for bumping into me just now. If you think that's not enough, I'll be kind enough to help you swell your left cheek too." Su Qian was exposed, her face alternating between green and red. "How dare you hit me? Do you know who my dear is?" I smirked playfully. "Oh, what identity?" Su Qian gritted her teeth, about to say something, when a heavy, oppressive aura emanated from behind her, coming from Farid. The players who had been watching the show all pricked up their ears, curiously sizing up Farid, eagerly pressing for answers. "Qian, does Farid have some hidden identity?" Yeah, I thought it was strange just now. The ghosts didn't dare to get close to him. Could it be? What identity? What does it have to do with you? Su Qian panicked. Even with 10 times the courage, she wouldn't dare to reveal Farid's identity. She glared at me fiercely. "I'm definitely going to teach you a lesson today." I gripped the peachwood sword tightly, ready for battle, rubbing my hands together. I was about to fight to the death. Farid stepped in, producing a plate of bat-shaped cookies from who knows where. "Baby, stop hitting. I'll feel heartbroken if you get hurt. These cookies were specially made by my strange friends. Your wounds will heal immediately after eating them." Su Qian wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, coquettishly rolled into Fei Late's arms, and shot me a disdainful glance. "My dear knows how to care for me. No wonder my sister is going crazy. Such a jealous woman. TSK, these cookies smell so good." Munch. Farid watched Su Qian eat them all up, a sly smile on his face. "Everyone, come and have a taste, don't be shy." A faint buttery aroma filled the air, making everyone's mouths water. The eyes of everyone present lit up, as after a long day of hard work, their stomachs were already growling with hunger, but none of them were fools. How could they so easily accept food from something so eerie? Seeing that no one was eating, Farid looked deeply hurt, his melancholy expression evoking pity. "I never imagined everyone would distrust me so much. The next level is fraught with danger. These cookies are specially made from eerie food and can confuse the sense of humans and the eerie. I'm just trying to help." Upon hearing that it could confuse sense, everyone swallowed hard. Most eerie beings rely on scent to distinguish outsiders. If we can deceive their sense of smell, our chances of survival will greatly increase. Such a rare treasure, which could fetch an astronomical price in the system's store, is now being given away for free. They swarmed in and snatched all the cookies. They almost licked the plate clean. "Farid, from now on, you're my best brother. I love you so much. Woo-woo. True kindness still exists in this world, and good-hearted ghosts like you are rare. Can you introduce the strange brothers to me? I just turned 18. Su Qian's face was completely healed, and she proudly wrapped her arms around Farid's neck, as if she had won a battle. However, Farid unusually pushed her away and walked straight up to me, holding a cookie that was at least twice as big as anyone else's. "You hit so hard just now, your hand must be injured." I gazed into his crimson eyes, took the biscuit, and crushed it to pieces. "Thank you, but I never accept handouts." The system tallied the number of people, and only 2 died in the first round. This was truly rare in an S-level instance, giving many players a glimmer of hope. Round 2 of the game begins. Are you ready? Mission: spend the night at the Crimson Homestay and find the living person hidden within. Friendly reminder: the host has the right to eliminate impolite guests. Players who fail to guess correctly by the end of the game will become part of the homestay. The players began to relax, finding a living person in the midst of the eerie atmosphere. How hard could that be? When the owners of the 4 ghosthouses stood in an orderly manner at the entrance, the players soon realized that it really wasn't that simple. The first homestay is an ancient house adorned with a double happiness character. The owner is a woman with bound feet, dressed in wedding attire, her face completely concealed by a red bridal veil, with only a pair of bluish-purple hands visible. The second homestay is a slaughterhouse reeking of a foul, bloody odor. The owner is a butcher wielding a cleaver. Upon closer inspection, one can notice that his head has been stitched together with fine threads, and his fingers have an extra joint compared to others. The third homestay is a modern building scorched by a fire. The owners are a pair of twin sisters, each wearing a small Western-style dress, one in red and the other in white. The girl in the white dress holds a doll, crafted to resemble the girl in the red dress. The fourth homestay is a dilapidated thatched cottage. The owner is a pregnant woman shackled with ankle chains, carefully protecting her belly while nervously glancing around, with blood flowing uncontrollably from her lower body. All the homestay hosts appear no different from the usual eerie beings. The system is playing word games. In reality, the real living humans are hidden inside the pregnant women's bellies. The eerie beings have no reproductive functions and cannot possibly become pregnant. It is the living humans struggling desperately inside the bellies, tearing through the intestines, that cause the incessant bleeding. For the first 3 nights, the players passed through safely, and finally, the day came to enter the pregnant woman's homestay. The players gathered together to discuss their strategy. When they heard my suggestion to work together to cut open the eerie belly and save the undigested living person, Su Qian looked horrified. The eerie creature was once human too. Doing this is just too cruel. Su Shishue, how cruel your heart is. I nodded thoughtfully. We only lost 8 fresh lives, but the monster had to pay the tragic price of a temporarily injured belly. This is truly too cruel. Perhaps it was because my nod looked too sincere. Su Qian thought I was convinced by her viewpoint and proposed to coexist peacefully with the supernatural, claiming she had her own way to safely spend the night. As she spoke, her gaze fell gently on Fei Lade, with a clear sense of seeking credit. Fei Lade nodded in satisfaction, but the look he gave Su Qian was as if he were looking at a dead thing. That evening, Su Qian took matters into her own hands, slipping naked under the quilt and calling the pregnant ghost Mom. She babbled and reached out for a hug, trying to awaken the ghost's maternal instincts. Upon hearing someone call her Mom, the pregnant ghost's heart melted, and the iron chains on her feet clanked loudly. She called her darling repeatedly but stopped half a meter away. My heart skipped a beat as I suddenly remembered that Su Qian had smoked a cigarette before entering the homestay. How could a baby, soft and milky, compare to an adult reeking of smoke? Just as I was about to speak up, the pregnant woman eerily picked up a rattle drum from the floor, gently shaking it while singing a nursery rhyme into Su Qian's ear. The song was melodious and moving, as if she had practiced it alone countless times, carrying a faint trace of melancholy. Is this done? Could it be that Efrad's biscuits can really mask the scent? Just as I was feeling puzzled, Su Qian wore an expression that said, "See, I told you, I smell a conspiracy brewing," and was just about to sneak up from behind the eerie presence. Hundreds of eyes opened on the pregnant woman's back, staring directly at the peachwood sword in my hand. I was hit by a mental attack. Frozen in place and unable to move, dozens of tentacles emerged from under the pregnant woman's skirt, lifting one of my feet and hanging me upside down in the air. I saw the family portrait hidden in the chandelier, where the pregnant woman was proudly showing her son's penis to the camera. How could there be a mother in the world who can't even tell the gender of her own child? She was indeed acting from the very beginning. I thrust the peachwood sword into the flesh, and the pain significantly weakened the mental corruption. I severed the tentacles wrapped around me, and the peachwood sword's level reached 4. A peachwood sword of level 4 possesses the debuff of dispelling inner demons. I swung at the pregnant woman's back, but she cunningly dodged it. Blades and swords have no eyes. Heading straight for Su Qian's forehead, I slowly withdrew my strength, intentionally piercing a bit of skin and flesh. Su Qian's eyes suddenly cleared, and she belatedly let out a scream. Su Shishue, are you blind? Wait, where did all these skulls come from? This is no thatched cottage at all. Clearly, it is a mountain formed from the bones of fallen players. From the moment we stepped into the guest house, we entered the eerie barrier that had been set up. The players were locked in a fierce battle, and as time passed second by second, their stamina gradually drained away. Su Qian, who had been escorted and protected by Fei Lade all the way, had neglected her training and soon fell behind. As time ticked away, the pregnant woman's stomach let out a massive intestinal rumble. If the battle wasn't over within 5 minutes, the living person would be completely digested. Even if we gave the correct answer, if we couldn't cut open her stomach, the living person would still turn into a corpse. If we didn't meet the system standards, we would soon become the next meal for the supernatural beings, forever trapped in the guest house. The accompanying companion accused Su Qian of not participating in the battle, and she smiled slightly. What's there to fear? Isn't my dear one still here? Everyone felt as if they had found a treasure, quickly forming a group to beg Su Qian for mercy, hoping she could communicate with Farad and have a good talk with this out-of-control pregnant woman. Letting the players off the hook, she hid behind the main force, affectionately linking arms with Farad. Farad scanned the surroundings, his cold gaze pressing down on everyone until they could hardly breathe. The players present all swallowed nervously, with his guard at its peak. Felid smiled with an inscrutable meaning. Not far away, a pregnant woman caught sight of Felid and let out a delighted scream. She prostrated herself on the ground, sincerely bowing in submission. Lord Felid, my supreme king, so you are here. I beg you to tear these humans to pieces. The players, after a long battle, were already exhausted. Upon hearing this terrible news, they looked at Farid with deep fear in their eyes. This strange being calls Farid king. Qianqian, what on earth is going on? In an instant, a pair of enormous bat wings sprouted from Farid's back, his ocean blue eyes turning blood red. An immense fear, like an unbreakable dark cloud, descended upon the hearts of everyone present, except Su Qian. He slowly walked toward the pregnant woman, his expression solemn. The once composed look on Su Qian's face now showed a crack. The pregnant woman sneered, "Our king? How could he ever be willing to stay with you insignificant human ants? It's simply preposterous." But then, something utterly unexpected happened. Farid extended his palm, and a crimson spider lily bloomed above the pregnant woman's head. In an instant, she turned into a pile of minced flesh, along with her belly, which also turned into minced flesh. System, due to force majeure, the living people in the homestay have been absorbed by the boss. The Crimson Homestay instance is collapsing. Congratulations, players, for discovering the hidden task. Escape the ancient castle. Boss, Farid. Within 3 days, the ground beneath our feet shook violently, and huge cracks appeared in the floor of the homestay. We fell from a great height, feeling dizzy and disoriented. The players were immobilized by the overwhelming pressure, forced to kneel on the ground like ants. Felid squinted, sitting on the throne at the center of the ancient castle. Little Shishua, you're still as hard to win over as you were in your previous life. Felid's gaze was deep and distant, his voice tinged with a strange excitement. His crimson eyes flickered with a dark light, his invasive gaze sweeping over my entire body before settling on my peachwood sword. Is the new equipment working well? Are you used to it without me protecting you? My heart sank. Does he know I've been reborn? Based on my understanding from my past life, he despises acts of showing weakness, rather than sticking to the same old routine. He prefers it when others surprise him and bring him a sense of freshness. Want to try out my new gear? The moment the eerie creature just now turned into minced meat, a few drops of blood splattered onto the peachwood sword. Just this small amount of blood actually allowed the peachwood sword to level up once more, reaching level 5. At the same time, a new function was unlocked, Devour. However, it is clear that the peachwood sword, which has not yet reached its maximum level, can only handle ordinary vampires, but against an ancient anomaly like Farid, it can do little more than scratch the surface. With your current strength, I'm afraid it's not enough. I'm quite chivalrous. As long as you behave, I definitely won't harm you. In the face of such a powerful boss, my strength is indeed insignificant, but he doesn't know that the peachwood sword in my hand is no ordinary object. At max level, I'll kill anyone who stands in my way, even a god. The players were all stunned by my words, especially Su Qian. Su Shishua, have you gone mad? We struggled so much just fighting a dungeon monster, and you actually dare to challenge the boss. If it weren't for the fact that you're my sister, Farid would have torn you to pieces long ago. She knelt on the ground, a flicker of jealousy flashing in her eyes, but what none of them expected was that Farid actually withdrew the pressure he had placed on me. The previously tense atmosphere vanished, replaced by the anguished cries of all the players. My stomach, it suddenly hurts so much. It's all because I was greedy and ate that damn thing's cookies. Su Qian, doesn't Efrad like you a lot? Hurry up and think of something. If you don't help us, we're going to die from the pain. Su Qian clutched her stomach, rolling on the ground in agony until she lost consciousness and fainted, unable to utter a word. I slowly stood up, my tense nerves gradually relaxing. Farid's ghostly voice echoed throughout the ancient castle. The game has only just begun. Little Shishua, take your time. We have all the time in the world, just don't die too quickly. For Farid, an ancient monster who has lived for millennia, I pose no challenge at all. The reason he treats me differently is simply because I'm the only female player who hasn't been bewitched by his beauty, which he finds amusing. He's eagerly waiting for my peachwood sword to level up, for my strength and speed to reach their peak, so he can torment me then. If I couldn't hold on and fell under his mental control, agreeing to his courtship, he would actually find it unchallenging, but he doesn't know that this ease won't last much longer. I suppressed the corner of my mouth. I know his most fatal weakness. The pain in the players' abdomens disappeared. Su Qian woke from her coma and saw Farid sitting on the throne, her eyes lighting up. Ignoring her companion's attempts to stop her, she crawled to Farad's feet, enduring the pressure. "Darling, please, I beg you, don't harm my companions. I am willing to use my body in exchange for everyone's escape from the castle, staying here to help you dispel your loneliness, and be your eternal bride." My toes curled so hard they could have carved out a Barbie dream house. How selfless, how pitifully touching. Unfortunately, the boss simply doesn't like women who are too easy to win over. The players were deeply moved by Su Qian's sacrifice, crying uncontrollably. Felid sat on the throne, coldly sizing up Su Qian. A flicker of disdain flashed in his eyes as he spoke calmly. "What kind of person are you? How dare you even think of me? I was just using you to pass the time. Did you really think I fell in love with you?" Su Qian's face suddenly changed. She was utterly ashamed and wished she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. She endured the humiliation, stubbornly trying to salvage the situation. "Frad is just a bit shy and doesn't dare admit he's fallen for a human. He said I'm the most special one." Before she could finish her soliloquy, a powerful gust of demonic wind struck, knocking her to the ground. Su Qian, as fragile as a piece of paper, was swept away by the force. Frad truly had no patience left. This was meant to kill her. If Su Qian is blown even one step outside the castle by the strong wind, she will be judged as having left the game and automatically die. She desperately grabbed onto her companion's clothes to avoid being blown away. The poor girl, whose dress was being pulled, had her collar opened wide, nearly exposing herself. Every player was having a hard time, because they didn't work hard to kill enemies, but instead chose to take shortcuts to clear the level. This made it difficult for them to move forward, forcing them to barely use their weapons to stabilize themselves and avoid being blown away. Their hands were rubbed raw and blistered, and on top of that, their weapons were of low quality. Some players' weapons couldn't withstand Feared's pressure and developed small cracks. The most unfortunate one was Su Qian, as only all of her levels remained at 1, protected by Frad all the way. She didn't even break a sweat, let alone kill any enemies. The female player's dress was torn at the corner, leaving Su Qian with nothing to hold on to. She could only desperately cling to the floor, her delicate manicure bleeding. At that moment, the system's notification sound rang out. "Ding, detected that over half of the players present have bad anomalies parasitizing their abdomens. A large number of juvenile bad anomalies will be born in 30 minutes. Please take emergency measures as soon as possible, or the juvenile bad anomalies will burst out of your chests." He. The system let out a gloating laugh, seemingly mocking all the players who had eaten the cookies. Their faces turned deathly pale, their eyes filled with a desperate longing for survival. And I, as the only person present who didn't eat the cookies, remained unharmed. The ground shook violently, and suddenly a mahogany-long table appeared, on which 3 bottles of blue potion were placed. Felid slowly approached, and I cautiously raised my peachwood sword. He smiled faintly, looking at the peachwood sword in my hand as if it were a child's toy. He mischievously pinched my chin, forcing me to look at the potions on the long table, his fingertips so cold they gave me goosebumps. With a snap of Farad's fingers, the players were once again tormented by stomach pain, clearly more intense than before. 3 antidotes. For humans in peril, the choice is yours. They passed out from the pain several times, only to be awakened by Farad's magic just seconds after closing their eyes. Their bellies slowly swelled, faintly revealing something moving inside, with several signs of it trying to break out. The players, who had always been aloof in the past, suddenly began showering me with concern and warmth. They regretted having stood by and watched coldly when Su Qian framed me. Players who had once avoided me like the plague were now kneeling before me, all in the hope of securing a chance to survive. I held the 3 small bottles of potion in my hand, just about to hand them over. The voice of Farad came to my ears like a ghost, like an evil spirit luring people into hell. "Little Shishua, have you thought it through? Clear the game, split the prize money. Wouldn't it be better to take it all for yourself?" Su Qian knew in her heart that her previous actions were utterly shameful, and among everyone, she was the least likely to obtain the antidote. She writhed in agony, twisting like a maggot to my feet and clutching at my pant leg. "Sister, I was wrong before. Once we clear the game, I'll never oppose you again. I'm in so much pain. Please save me. I won't take any of the prize money when we get out. It's all yours." Seeing this, the others quickly followed suit. They scrambled to give up the prize money, only hoping to survive. I silently watched them kneel and beg for mercy, as Farad's voice echoed once more. "Once we clear this level, we can each go our separate ways." Humans are the most foolish and greedy creatures. their shamelessness is something you've experienced firsthand, little Shishue. He slowly reached out his hand, and an exquisite door suddenly appeared before him. A strange figure resembling a butler respectfully opened the door. The fragrance of a grassy field after rain drifted in from outside, along with the long unseen sunlight. Wisps of cooking smoke rose above the village, and the familiar scent of food wafted into his nose. Is this the human world? The players were moved to tears. Having long been tormented beyond recognition, they looked toward the gate leading to the human world, struggling to inch their way toward it, but a thick glass barrier blocked their path forward. Little Shishue, I really like you. As long as you give up on saving them, I'll grant you special permission to leave this place alone. The player who had just begged for mercy now looked ashen-faced and fell silent. The temptation of safely clearing the game was self-evident. I had no reason to risk my life by staying in this perilous castle. If I had been given the antidote earlier, I could have done a favor in return, but this time, I had no reason to refuse the chance to clear the game. I looked at the bustling world outside the door, smiled at Farid, and raised my hand to shatter the medicine bottle. The pale blue liquid spilled onto the center of the ancient castle, and Farid smiled with satisfaction. The right choice, my lady. Amidst the desperate gazes of everyone, I walked resolutely toward the door. At the moment I was about to step out the door, I suddenly turned around, raised the peachwood sword, and struck at Farilad. Farilad seemed not to have expected me to do this and couldn't dodge in time. I hit his shoulder squarely, and blue blood slowly oozed out, exactly the same color as the potion in that bottle. If I'm not mistaken, what's in the bottle isn't an antidote at all, but your blood. This blood will not save their lives. Instead, it will cause the bat-like anomalies in their abdomens to develop more rapidly and quickly enter a frenzied state. Only the system can summon the door that connects to the human world. If the bosses of the anomaly game could come and go as they please, wouldn't that cause chaos? You could feast on an all-you-can-eat buffet every day, so why would you settle for staying in the game? But clearly, you don't have that level of authority. In this game we're in, both humans and the supernatural must abide by the rules. If we win, we go home safely. If you win, you get to feast on flesh. It's that simple. To test my hypothesis, I pulled out the rattle drum I had picked up earlier at the guesthouse. Not long after I tossed it through the door, the scene inside abruptly transformed into a muddy wasteland. Several crimson imps scrambled out, tearing and biting at the rattle drum, not getting the meat they had been longing for. The little ghosts were very disappointed. They gnashed their teeth with a crackling sound, wishing they could devour me alive, but there was nothing they could do to me. The system's notification sound rang out. Congratulations to player Su Shishue for passing the level. Test of Wisdom, Mission Rewards, Bat Anomaly Juvenile Antidote *4, Peachwood Sword upgraded to level 8, Physical Fitness Enhancement. The other players also received varying rewards, and after drinking the antidote, their abdominal pain quickly subsided. Everyone was celebrating their survival, except for Su Qian, who looked dejected and stared at me with resentment. Fellard's eyes flickered with a hint of delight, like a long-starved beast accidentally tasting a rare delicacy of the human world. Little Shishue, you are the only human to pass this test in such a long time. You really are different from them. So interesting. Farid licked his lips, smiling sinisterly. I really want to taste what you're like soon. Next time we meet, I'll get serious. Be prepared. With a gust of wind, Farid vanished from our sight. The previously oppressive atmosphere instantly turned cheerful, and the players gathered around me in a circle. The girl whose clothes were torn by Su Qian, Ro, looked at me with admiration, her eyes as gentle as a fawn's. Sister, you're really amazing. I wish I were half as smart as you. If it weren't for your calm analysis just now, we might have already kicked the bucket. Wang Jia, the quiet female office worker in the team, also spoke up for once. It's true that beauty alone is a dead end. Trying to get by just by selling your looks is nothing but a fantasy. Shishue, you're truly a role model for us women. The only muscular man in the team, Li Chong, did not hesitate to praise me. As the saying goes, a woman as fierce as an eagle. I smiled slightly and politely corrected, it's a woman as fierce as a female eagle, but thank you anyway. While everyone praised me, they also unanimously agreed on the principle that the words of the supernatural cannot be trusted, creating a very harmonious atmosphere. Su Qian, who was implicitly accused of selling her looks, was quite indignant. It's just a case of a blind cat stumbling upon a dead mouse. What's the big deal? I saw it coming all along. If it weren't for that awful biscuit making my stomach hurt so much I couldn't speak, would have reminded her earlier. Sister Wang rolled her eyes. If you're so amazing, Why didn't you convince the boss to let us pass? Hindsight is always 20/20, Li Chang also flared up, veins bulging. How dare you say that? If it weren't for you whispering in our ears and making us trust Farad, would we have eaten that disgusting biscuit and suffered like this? Su Qian's words stirred up public anger, leaving her speechless and unable to retort. She glared at me angrily, wanting to say something more, but a violent shake sent her tumbling head over heels amidst a dazzling white light. We were teleported by the system to the arena. Congratulations, lucky ones who have reached the final stage. Each of you will be matched with an opponent of comparable strength based on your abilities. At the conclusion of each duel, the victor holds absolute power over the life and death of the defeated. Are you ready? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's hearts, which had been hanging in suspense, finally settled. Thank goodness, they're all evenly matched anomalies. We might not necessarily lose. An evenly matched opponent means that the weaker side is unlikely to encounter powerful anomalies, but in reality, that is not the case. The equally matched, defined by the system, refers to an average value. It refers to the level of the group on the human side against the level of the group on the supernatural side, assuming the human contestant is a burly man, with a combat power value at the upper middle level of the human side. Then unfortunately, he will have to face a terrifying monster at the upper middle level in the supernatural world. On the contrary, frail humans might be able to pick up the slack with weapons of a certain level. With a whistle from the referee, Li Chang confidently stood at the center of the stage. He excitedly displayed his robust biceps to the audience, anticipating a thrilling showdown, but soon, he couldn't laugh anymore, because he was facing a colossal monster whose size was as tall as a building. The troll extended his fingers, dripping with green slime, and gave a gentle flick. The muscular man's proud physique was instantly shattered into pieces. The outcome was quickly decided, leaving only the four of us girls in the team. First round of the competition, the supernatural side wins. The current score on the field is 1-0. Watching the elder brother, who had just been chatting amiably, become a meal for the eerie creature, Ro couldn't help but burst into tears. The giant eerie creature cleaned up the scene as if chewing gum, let out a belch, and then swaggered away. Before the second round of the competition began, I comforted Ro and discussed strategies with her. On the stage, the eerie creature stretched its neck several meters long, eagerly waiting on the platform, staring intently at the crying Ro and urging her on. Just let me eat you early and get it over with. What's the point of discussing anything? The outcome will be the same anyway, right? Little crybaby. Ruru was so scared that her tears wouldn't stop, and I glared at the long-necked anomaly. What's the rush? It's not certain who will win or lose yet. I leaned close to Ro's ear to speak. After a while, Ro, trembling, stepped onto the stage holding a baseball bat as a weapon. I saw Ro move with agility. The moment the long-necked creature opened its gaping maw, she circled behind him and gently wrapped her arms around his neck. Ha, trying to seduce me won't work, little girl. The long neck didn't take Ro seriously at all, allowing her to approach without any concern until, using a familiar technique, Ro used the baseball bat as a needle to tie the eerie long neck into a figure-8 knot. What? The long neck struggled to move its head, but to no avail. Its proud field of vision was blocked, forcing it to look only at the ceiling, until it was finally pushed off the field by Ro. Round 2, victory goes to the human side. The score is now 1-1. Ruru was immersed in the joy of victory. Fortunately, I didn't slack off when learning sewing from my mom. When the system asked her whether to execute the long-necked ghost, she hesitated noticeably, but remembering the tragic state of brother Li Chang, Ruru chose to execute it. When I asked Ro the reason for choosing this way, if we are defeated, the anomalies will not leave us any chance of survival. Isn't that right? I nodded with satisfaction. That's correct. The following matches ended with 1 win and 1 loss. Sister Wang lost to the domestic abuser male anomaly. She knew all along that she wasn't good at fighting, so she voluntarily jumped off the stage. Before her death, she distributed all her experience points evenly among us. These valuable experience points provided the remaining players with a greater chance of survival. As usual, Su Qian chose to seduce, coaxing the male anomaly into a state of delight, and she obediently stepped down from the stage. When choosing whether to execute the opponent, Su Qian, however, did not follow through with the agreement and chose to spare the life. The pot-bellied male ghost cried uncontrollably. You didn't say that before. Su Qian waved her hand, speaking with righteous conviction. That was just a lie to appease you. In my heart, there is only Farad. Even if he hurts me 10,000 times, I will still firmly choose him until I melt his cold heart. Su Qian spoke these words with deep affection, on the verge of tears several times, looking pitiful and delicate. After speaking, she didn't forget to glance at Farid at the top of the arena. Farid's expression remained indifferent, not even sparing her a glance. He had long lost interest in humans like Su Qian, who were so easily won over, and had no time to bother with them. The score on the field became 2-2. When it was my turn to step onto the ring, I focused with all my might. As Farid slowly moved and walked onto the ring, all the monsters let out gasps of astonishment in unison. The boss is actually going to personally face off against this human girl. This match must be a mistake. That girl looks so fragile. Exactly, a human who can go up against the boss should be at the peak of human combat prowess, at least a world champion in mixed martial arts or a global bodybuilding champion. She's in for a rough time. The boss has always been particularly cruel to beautiful human girls. Seeing that I was paired with the boss, Ro was so frightened that she immediately summoned the system. However, the response she received was, the matching result was not incorrect. I patted my chest to boost my own confidence. Farid stared at me with a puzzled look. You don't seem surprised by this outcome. I smiled faintly. When we had physical contact in the castle, you enhanced my body. You should know better than I do. Farid raised an eyebrow. I should have realized it sooner. You're different from them. It's a shame to devour you. Stay with me, Su Shishua. I raised the peachwood sword and thrust it toward him with lightning speed. In your dreams, Farid nimbly dodged the attack, a small cut appearing on his face. Is that all you've got, little Shishua? Your swordplay is so weak, you won't be able to kill me like that. I chuckled inwardly. Oh, really? I raised my hand, and a massive swarm of vampire bats surged toward Farid, tearing at his flesh. The eerie beings below the stage exclaimed in surprise. Isn't that the bat only the boss can control? What on earth is that woman's background? That she can command vampire bats? It's not that I'm truly all-powerful, but rather the skill from the peachwood sword, Devour, came into play. During that last charge, my peachwood sword had been stained with Ephrad's blood. I have devoured the boss's ability to summon vampire bats and made it my own. This means that Farid can no longer use this skill. Farid's expression remained calm. He clearly saw through my little trick, and with a snap of his fingers, the vampire bats turned to dust. Little Shishua, you're still too naive. They're just some useless bats. What does it matter if I give them to you? He leisurely dodged the attacks, and as I charged at him once more, he spread his massive bat wings, blocking all the strikes. The scales on his wings transformed into countless sharp arrows, raining down on me like a sudden storm. I tumbled forward several times, barely managing to dodge, then charged toward Farid again. After what felt like an eternity of close-quarters combat, Farid still hadn't fallen into a disadvantage. Even the eerie beings below were marveling that I could actually trade blows with the castle's boss. If I could stay, I would surely become an elite eerie being in Farid's hands, but they overestimated me too much. Even if I could barely keep up with Farid's movements, humans and eerie beings are ultimately not the same species, and the gap in physical strength is vast. I was already panting heavily from exhaustion, while Farid hadn't shed a single drop of sweat. Just as I was at a loss, the system's prompt suddenly sounded. Congratulations to player Su Shishua. The peachwood sword has reached max level. The holy sword has descended. I tilted my head slightly and saw Ro lying weakly in the audience seats, shouting at me, Sister, you must come back alive. It's a deal. When we get back to reality, I'll treat you to our local pig slaughtering feast. She transferred all her experience to me. Then I absolutely cannot let her down. As my strength gradually recovered, I swung forcefully at Farid. The peachwood sword in my hand had already transformed into a holy sword, possessing boundless power. With a swift raise and fall of the blade, the arena was split in two by me. Farid saw the holy sword in my hand, and the ease on his face vanished, replaced by a thick, murderous intent. He lunged at me swiftly, aiming to finish me off quickly. I dodged with a sidestep, missed a few strikes, but the final one hit its mark. As I expected, the places struck by the holy sword showed no signs of healing again. Taking advantage of my restored stamina, I engaged in close combat with Farid once more. This time, his movements were noticeably slower, and his evasive actions were not as agile. Even for a boss, with multiple holy sword wounds on his body, his stamina had reached its limit by now. Seizing the opportunity, I pressed my advantage and, with a few swift strikes, pierced his heart. The crowd below erupted in excitement. They could hardly believe it, that a young girl like me could push the ancient castle's great boss to such a State, I pinned Efrad firmly to the arena with the holy sword. Finally, weariness showed on his face, yet he remained defiant. I have 8 hearts like this, just piercing one won't kill me. I smiled faintly. Of course I know that, so I just used the holy sword to pin you here. The vampire bats obeyed and approached, carrying a pink metal object in their mouths. Su Qian felt her pocket and wondered, strange, where is my lighter? A raging fire burned at the center of the arena, and Farad watched as his body visibly turned to ashes. Impossible, I actually lost to a human, he roared, but as the arena collapsed, his voice gradually faded away. I had exhausted all my strength, lying on the ground in a state of collapse, with the system's excited notification ringing in my ears. Congratulations to player Su Shishue for defeating the ancient castle boss. You are the first to officially clear this instance. The boss has been eliminated. All game scenes will collapse within 30 seconds. Please leave the instance as soon as possible. I don't know where the willpower came from, but I gritted my teeth and dragged myself toward the door. The gate was right in front of me, but the multiple fatal wounds on my body made every movement feel like stepping on the edge of a knife. At this critical moment, Ro grabbed me and carried me on her back, with such incredible strength. No wonder she could twist the long neck of the eerie creature. Sister, don't give up, let's get out together. With only a few seconds left on the countdown, we rushed out the gate. Congratulations to both players for successfully escaping the castle. You have won the 50 million grand prize, which will be transferred to your bank accounts legally within 2 business days. Please check your accounts. After surviving the ordeal, Ro and I embraced in relief, but then I suddenly noticed something odd. Wait, why does it say only 2 players? What about Su Qian? Ruru also felt puzzled. Yeah. Logically speaking, she was the one who expended the least physical energy. There's no reason she couldn't run out over such a short distance. The system received the command, ding, retrieving the death replay of player Su Qian now. A holographic screen suddenly appeared before them, showing a strange old lady viciously biting Su Qian's leg, frantically preventing her from escaping toward the door. Looking at the face, it was unmistakably a gender-swapped, enlarged version of the fat strange creature Su Qian had been competing against on stage. What has my son done wrong? Has he ever laid a finger on you? Why must he be executed? You vicious woman, don't even think about going back. Su Qian screamed in fear. Ah, you crazy old hag, let go of me. But in the end, her strength was no match for the anomaly, and both the person and the anomaly were buried in the ruins. I sighed. You reap what you sow. Ruru patted my shoulder. Hey, it's not like we caused it, so don't dwell on it. Do you remember what the first thing we need to do when we get back is? I smiled again. The pig slaughtering feast. Go. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. On the evening of the Dragon Boat Festival, Grandma gave my sister and me 2 zongzi. One was sweet, and the other was savory. My sister quickly chose the sweet one, while I ate the savory one. The sister who ate the sweet rice dumpling grew more and more beautiful. Before the college entrance exam, she hung out with troublemakers, but after entering university, she woke up and transformed into a campus goddess. Later, she entered the entertainment industry and gained a large following of fans. 10 years later, the effects of the rice dumpling faded, her looks began to decline, and she lost all the privileges she had gained because of her beauty. My sister panicked. To maintain the status quo, she went crazy with plastic surgery. As the number of procedures increased, the drawbacks began to show. Instead of stopping, she invested all her savings into it. When she lost everything, she saw my photo on the cover of a magazine. It read, Woman Entrepreneur of the Year. Why should I lose everything while you remain unchanged? Kill you, and I'll have money for plastic surgery again. Ha 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 ha. On the rooftop of the skyscraper, my sister, with her overdone plastic surgery face, pushed me off the building with a sinister laugh. In her moment of triumph, she also slipped on a steel pipe and fell down with me. When we opened our eyes again, we were back on the day we were choosing zongzi. My younger sister chose the savory rice dumpling first. She leaned close to my ear. Sister, it's time for you to experience the despair of being a mere vase. After falling from the rooftop, I opened my eyes again and found myself reborn back to the Dragon Boat Festival when I was 18. Grandma pushed 2 zongzi in front of me and my sister. Yeah, Xin, these 2 zongzi. The sweet one brings beauty, and the savory one brings wealth. The effects last only 10 years. I choose the savory zongzi. Before Grandma could finish speaking, Song Xian snatched the savory zongzi. peeled off the bamboo leaves, and wolfed it down. I looked at the remaining sweet rice dumplings on the table, my expression calm, and unwrapped one to eat as well. At this moment, I was certain that Song Xian had also been reborn. It wasn't just Song Xian who had changed, Grandma had too. I remembered it clearly. In my past life, Grandma looked at us with loving eyes as we ate the zongzi. Now, she gazed at Song Xian and sighed, her eyes filled with disappointment. She waited silently for us to finish eating, then glanced up at the clock on the wall. 5:56 p.m. She sighed again and gave us a piece of advice. Yeah, Xin, don't rely too much on zongzi, to walk steadily on the path ahead. You must have some skills of your own, especially Xin. Grandma looked at Song Xian with heartfelt sincerity. Don't choose the wrong path again. Your sister is not your rival, she's family. Song Xian pressed her lips tightly together, offering no reply, her brows and eyes filled with impatience. Grandma still wanted to say a few more words to her, but the chime of the hour rang out, and the clock on the wall pointed exactly to 6 in the afternoon. Forget it, take care of yourself, this old woman. It's time for me to go. Grandma reluctantly glanced around the room one last time, and slowly walked out the door. Watching her hunched back, my eyes grew a little warm. Grandma, I rushed out the door and hugged her tightly, burying my head in her shoulder as tears fell silently. I whispered in her ear, Grandma, can you please not leave? I still need to earn money, buy you a big house, and give you a good life. Silly child. Grandma patted my head, her tone tinged with reluctance, and replied softly as well, Grandma doesn't need a big house, as long as you're doing well. That's all I could ask for. Yeah, you're a good child. From now on, you must protect yourself and not give anyone the chance to hurt you, including Xin. Grandma has to go now, take care. I stood at the door, watching Grandma disappear around the corner once more, my eyes blurred with tears. The clock in the living room pointed to 6:10, and just as in my past life, I received a call from the hospital. RUMS, Song Yu. This is the First People's Hospital of Linhuai City. We regret to inform you that your grandmother, MS, Song Dahua, suffered a heart attack at 5:23 p.m. this afternoon and was brought to our hospital for emergency treatment. Just 10 minutes ago, the rescue efforts were unsuccessful, and she was confirmed deceased. Please come as soon as possible to claim the body. I mumbled a response, hung up the phone, and stepped into the house. Song Xian was looking down at her phone, and when she saw me come in, she let out a scornful laugh. What's the matter? Did you get the news of the old woman's death? Song Yu, what are you pretending for? You've already been through this once. What's there to be sad about? Slap. A crisp slap echoed throughout the room. Song Xian covered her face, staring at me in disbelief. Song Yu, how dare you hit me? I'm hitting you. I tried my best to restrain myself from slapping her a second time. Song Xian, that's Grandma, the one who raised you, not some old hag. The hospital called to say she passed away. How can you be so heartless? Song Xian, however, smiled. Me, cold-blooded, in my past life, when I came to you for money to get plastic surgery, how did you treat me? Who's really the cold-blooded one here? How did I treat her? I have always been clear in my conscience when it comes to her. In my previous life, Song Xian was addicted to plastic surgery. I tried to dissuade her more than once, but she wouldn't listen, believing I was hindering her pursuit of beauty. When I saw her again, she had already ruined her face. In that condition, she still wanted to borrow money for more surgery. How could I possibly lend it to her? But I never gave up on her. I found her top cosmetic doctors both domestically and internationally, hoping to help her remove the implants and fillers and restore her to a normal state. When Song Xian asked me to meet on the rooftop, I was terrified. I was afraid she might do something foolish in despair, and I pleaded with her over the phone, begging her not to give up on herself. At that time, she was the only family I had in my eyes. Little did I know then that 11 minutes later, she would push me off the rooftop with her own hands. Song Xian, don't pretend to be crazy or foolish. What past life? I'm talking about Grandma. I pretended to be angry on the surface, for now, I couldn't let her know that I had also been reborn. Song Xian squinted her eyes, looked me up and down, then covered her stomach and laughed. Ha, heaven has finally favored me once. Song Yu, you have no idea what you've missed, do you? In this life, it's your turn to be the vase. My fists clenched with a creaking sound, and it took great effort to hold back from swinging them at Song Xian's face. More words are useless. Song Xian, I need to go to the hospital to collect Grandma's remains. If you still care even a little about family, come with me. don't be ridiculous, who cares? Song Xian got up and went inside, slamming the door shut with a bang. Soon after, the sound of rummaging through drawers and cabinets could be heard from inside the room. I closed my eyes wearily. When Song Xian pushed me down the stairs, she was already dead to me. If it weren't for Grandma, I wouldn't have spoken a single word to her. But I never expected that Song Xian didn't care about Grandma at all. She wouldn't even go to see her off on her final journey, returning from the funeral home. I held my grandmother's ashes in my hands. The hospital emergency care and cremation cost a total of 30,000. I borrowed from every legitimate online lending platform I could find just to scrape together that amount. By the time I got home, it was already 9 in the evening. The door was wide open, and Song Xian was nowhere to be seen. Grandma's room was also open. Standing in the living room, I could see the blanket crumpled into a ball and carelessly thrown on the floor. Oh no, a bad feeling rose in my heart. I placed Grandma's ashes on the table and rushed into her bedroom in a few quick steps. Sure enough, Grandma's money box had been opened, and the cash inside was gone. Was it Song Xian who did it? I furrowed my brow, took out my phone, and dialed her number. The call was answered as soon as it started ringing. Song Xian's gloating voice came through the receiver. My dear sister, isn't it a pleasant surprise? Song Xian's words basically confirmed my suspicions, but I wasn't ready to give up. Suppressing my anger, I asked again, Song Xian, where are you? Did you take Grandma's money? That's right, the money is in my hands, Song Xian admitted straightforwardly, then changed her tone. But I don't intend to share it with you. You want to keep Grandma's money all to yourself. I was somewhat taken aback, unable to believe that a person's face could be so thick. Song Xian, you didn't even go to see Grandma for the last time, so why should you take her money? Even if it's inheritance, it should be split equally. Sister, you said it yourself, that was Grandma's money. Song Xian's tone rose, making it clear that she was in a good mood at the moment. I am also Grandma's granddaughter. Why can't I take it? Grandma left a total of 9,000, and even if we split it in half, it's only 4,500. What if I don't give it to you? Go ahead and call the police if you dare. Let's see if they'll even file a case for less than 5,000. Ha ha ha. Song Xian's laughter came through the receiver, making my eardrums ache. I don't know what went wrong. How did we end up like this? In my previous life, it was me who ate the salty rice dumpling. After Grandma passed away, Song Xian and I suppressed our grief and took the college entrance exam a week later. We did very well on the exam, but the money Grandma left behind wasn't even enough to cover one semester's tuition. Song Xian begged me to drop out of school so she could go to college. She said she would repay me in the future. I didn't agree verbally, but my heart gradually wavered, until I discovered that Song Xian was truly becoming more and more beautiful. Grandma's words came true. With a hopeful mindset, I went to the lottery shop to buy tickets, and the result was astonishing. No matter how I bought them, I never lost. It was just a matter of how much I earned. In just one afternoon, I made a net profit of tens of thousands. From then on, I took on the living expenses for both of us. This continued until Song Xian became a highly sought-after top star, capable of supporting herself well. I never mistreated her. Why did it lead to such an outcome? Why is Song Xian trying to drive me to the brink? But I dare not ask. Provoking her now would definitely not be a wise move. The college entrance exam is just around the corner. For a child from a family like mine, the exam is like a second chance at life. There's no room for mistakes. Song Xian, my tone softened. The college entrance exam is in just 1 week. If you take all the money, how am I supposed to get through these days? Can you get the money back first? Just 1,000 is fine. I can write an IOU. Once the exams are over, I'll immediately look for a part-time job and definitely pay you back. I nervously gripped the receiver. On the other end of the line, Song Xian burst into laughter. Sis, want to guess why I took all the money? Hee hee, if you don't have money, why don't you just sell yourself? With your looks, sister, you could definitely fetch a good price. If you don't have any connections, I can introduce you. 1,000 per time, Grand Hyatt Hotel. Before Song Xian could finish her sentence, the call was disconnected. The receiver emitted a series of beep, beep sounds. She carelessly tossed her phone aside, threw herself onto the hotel's Simmons mattress, and let out a strange laugh, laughing until tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. Sister, what will you choose? The college entrance exam or your self-respect? You've always looked down on me, but now I want to see if, when it's your turn to make a choice, you'll sacrifice your body just like I did. Silly sister. Your path of downfall begins today. The next morning, I arrived at the school gate right on time. Song Xinjing had been waiting here all along. Did my sister actually come after all? What, do you still have any money? She stared unwaveringly into my eyes, trying to catch a hint of something. Instinctively, I pressed my hand against my school uniform pocket, where 10 yuan lay quietly, the last bit of money I had left. I don't know what trick Song Xian is going to pull next. My palms are sweating with cold sweat, but I try my best to stay calm on the surface. Song Xian, I don't want to see you ever again. I hope you stay far away from me too. I push past Song Xian and enter the campus. There's only 1 week left until the college entrance exam, but I am myself from 12 years later, and I've almost completely forgotten the high school knowledge. The only advantage lies in mathematics and English. Indiana, my previous life, I was consistently engaged in data-related work and never neglected mathematics. To expand overseas business, my English also reached a level comparable to my native language. High school physics essentially revolves around 3 areas: force, magnetism, and velocity. Memorize the formulas, practice a few more sets of problems, and with my own notes, I should be able to achieve a decent score. The most challenging subjects are Chinese, chemistry, and biology. There are no formulas to rely on, they mostly depend on memorization, and I'm not sure if there will be enough time. The morning passed quickly, and with the exams approaching, the teacher no longer taught any new content. Everyone was studying diligently. During lunchtime, I used the last 60 cents on my meal card to buy a steamed bun at the cafeteria, just enough to spend it all. According to my calculations, there was still 1 bowl of rice left at home. I could cook it myself and bring it to school, which would help me get through the next 2 days. The remaining 10 yuan, buying 2 steamed buns each day, should be enough to get me through until the end of the college entrance exams. As long as I can make it until the exams are over, there will be plenty of ways to earn money. I took the steamed buns back to the classroom, taking a sip of cold water and a bite of bun while reviewing my studies. My attention was completely focused on the books, so I didn't notice a figure quietly appearing at the back door of the classroom. Song Xian stood at the back door of the classroom, her eyes fixed venomously on the steamed bun in my hand. Song Yu, do you think you can get through these few days unscathed? Don't even think about staying clean. I swear, I will drag you into the mud. Let's see if you can still keep that aloof face then. We have plenty of time ahead. The weather in June, yet a cold wind was blowing at the back of my neck. I suddenly felt as if I was being watched. I turned around abruptly, but there was nothing behind me in the classroom. Could I have been mistaken? Suspiciously, I turned my head back and continued to immerse myself in my book. Song Xian didn't come to cause trouble until school ended in the afternoon, and I breathed a sigh of relief. After walking home for 2 hours, the landlord was already waiting inside. Seeing my figure, she suddenly stood up. Yeah, you're finally back. Isn't it time to pay this month's rent? The landlord squinted her eyes, smiling insincerely as she reached out her hand toward me. The past events surged like a tide. Yes, this is 12 years ago. The family relied entirely on my grandmother collecting scrap to make ends meet, and we didn't own any property. We rented a place in an urban village, and the rent had to be paid to the landlord at the beginning of each month. I had actually forgotten about it. Where could I possibly get the money in such a short time? I was left speechless, feeling somewhat embarrassed. Seeing this, the landlady understood everything, and her face completely darkened. Song Yu, if you can't afford the rent, move out today. Clear the house so I can rent it to someone else. With the college entrance exam just around the corner, where could I possibly move? The landlord's words struck me like a bolt from the blue, pinning me to the spot. Auntie, could you give me a few more days? I'll find a part-time job as soon as my exams are over, and I'll definitely make up the rent. My tone was almost pleading. The landlady flatly refused. No. What if you can't pay it back? I promise I can pay it back. Or, Auntie, how about I move out after you find a new tenant? I compromised, hoping the new tenant would be found later. In just 1 week, it will be the college entrance exam. The landlord grew impatient, waving her hand as if shooing away a fly. Don't give me all that nonsense. Just get out. I've already found a new tenant. Pack your things now. You have to move out today. But Auntie, the lease only expires today. How could it be rented out so quickly? The landlord was clearly lying to me, yet I had no choice but to beg her over and over again. I couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness in my heart. How many years has it been since I last had to bow my head because of money? The feeling of sadness hasn't passed yet. The bedroom door suddenly opened, and Song Xian leaned against the door frame, looking at me with a smile. Sis, the landlord didn't lie to you. They really found a new tenant. Ding ding ding. The new tenant is me. And the rent is 10 times higher. You probably can't afford it now, can you? Song Xian wore a mocking smile at the corner of her mouth, looking at me with a triumphant expression, as if she were watching a joke. It's her again. I closed my eyes wearily and asked the question that had been on my mind all along. Song Xian, what exactly have I done to wrong you that you would go to such lengths to drive me to ruin? I just can't stand seeing you like this. In my past life, I asked you to invest in promoting me, but you insisted that I start from being an extra to hone my acting skills. Song Xian's expression suddenly became agitated. Why is it that others can succeed without acting skills, while you have so much money yet force me to start from scratch? It was you who drove me to accompany the director. You ruined me, and it's only fair that I ruin you too. Hearing her say that, I finally felt relieved, and the turmoil in my eyes settled back into calm. It was just an ungrateful wretch. How could I doubt myself, as if I had truly done something to wrong her? You're crazy. What director? What nonsense are you talking about? I pretended to be confused. Song Xian, however, completely broke down. She gripped my hands so tightly that her nails nearly dug into my flesh. Hee, you don't know, Song Yu, if only you had memories of your past life. That way, when you have nothing left, it would be even more painful. You're truly insane. I pulled my hand free from Song Xian's grasp and began packing my belongings on my own. Isn't it just moving? I'll move then. Is there a need to act crazy and play dumb? I don't have much luggage, apart from a few school uniforms and some daily necessities. There's not much to pack. I picked up Grandma's ashes, and before leaving, took one last look at this place that was once home. Turning around, I walked into the night, pushing a suitcase missing a wheel. I walked along the empty street, unsure for a moment which way to go. I scrolled through my phone's contact list, my gaze settling on my homeroom teacher's name. After hesitating for a long time, I finally dialed her number. Hello, teacher, this is Song Yu. Could you please help me? From that day on, I never went back to school again. The homeroom teacher said Song Xian had come to see her, asking about my whereabouts. She only said I had taken leave and didn't reveal any other information. I never saw Song Xian again until the college entrance exams were over. After finishing the last subject, I walked out of the exam hall and finally breathed a sigh of relief. The day after the college entrance exams ended, a photo of the most beautiful candidate went viral online. In the photo, I had my hair tied up in a simple bun, facing the camera. My smile was gentle and serene, but my eyes were shining brightly. Not long after, Song Xian's phone calls came one after another. She must have seen that photo too, completely losing her composure. In my previous life, the person in that photo was her. For someone like her, who thrived on being the center of attention, having her spotlight stolen was worse than death. I smiled faintly, snapped the SIM card in half, and replaced it with a new number. For a businessperson, public attention can be monetized. Taking advantage of the time when the most beautiful exam taker is trending online, I plan to create a persona of a beautiful academic genius. By leveraging live streaming, I aim to cover my university tuition fees and repay the money I owe my homeroom teacher. However, the key question is, what should the content of the live stream be? I can't just focus on making money without doing anything meaningful, right? I quickly came up with an idea: live tutoring sessions, a beautiful top student tutoring live. As long as my content is substantial, it doesn't count as scamming money. I got right to it, burying my head back in the books to organize the live content. 15 days later, when the college entrance exam results come out, I can start the live stream. Days passed one by one, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day the results were announced. While my phone's score-checking page was still loading, my homeroom teacher's call had already come through. Song Yu, congratulations, you are the top scorer in the province this year. The phone slipped from my hand, and the 200 yuan device instantly cracked like a spiderweb. By the time I snapped out of the overwhelming surprise, the call was still ongoing, and my homeroom teacher's concerned voice came through the receiver. Song Yu, are you alright? I'm fine. Just so happy that I couldn't hold my phone steady. Thank you, teacher. It's good that you're okay. Song Yu, if you have any questions about your college application choices, feel free to ask me anytime. Here, I wish you smooth sailing ahead and a bright future. In my mind, I immediately pictured my homeroom teacher adjusting his glasses with a gentle expression, and I couldn't help but feel my eyes welling up. If it weren't for the help of the homeroom teacher, I don't know what situation I would be in. After expressing heartfelt thanks, I hung up the phone. I couldn't help but start calculating in my mind. Every year, the top scorer in the province receives a subsidy of 200,000 yuan, and normally, Schools also have policies to reduce or waive tuition fees. My gaze fell on the prepared live streaming notes, and I felt somewhat conflicted. After all, should I still go live or not? Forget it, I'll go live. I've been preparing for half a month, and it would be a shame not to share what I've summarized. At 8 o'clock in the evening, I started the live stream on time. The gimmick of being a beauty top scorer works even better than beauty academic genius. Just 10 minutes after the live stream started, the number of viewers in the live room exceeded 10,000. The atmosphere in the comments section was very friendly, with almost all comments being compliments. What a beautiful little sister, to the person upstairs. All you see is her beauty. Let me tell you, she's the top science student in our province. I can confirm it's true. Oh my, which window did God close for you, may I ask? In which direction should I pray to have a daughter like her? Same request +1, same request +10086. I shyly pursed my lips and revealed the blackboard behind me. Hello everyone, my name is Song Yu. I will be broadcasting continuously for a month, sharing my study methods and techniques, as well as some key exam points. The comments section suddenly exploded. Quick, 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 my kid is going to be a senior in high school next semester. I'm going to drag him over to study. Woo-woo, study God. This is so timely. I was just planning to retake the year. So jealous. Why didn't I encounter such a kind-hearted person back in my day? Good people get into 985 universities in this life. Today's good deed +1, because you saved an academic underachiever. Thank you, big shot, for saving my dog's life. Referring to math, netizens are all masters of witty remarks. I tried hard to hold back the corners of my mouth to keep from laughing out loud. For the next while, I immersed myself in explaining the key points and example problems, no longer paying attention to the barrage. An hour later, I paused to take a sip of water and opened the voice chat. Fellow juniors, do you have any questions about what I just covered? Feel free to join the voice chat and ask. A user named Hate Sister was the first to connect. After I clicked to allow, Song Xian's voice came through the microphone. Song Yu, are you so desperate for money that you've come to live streaming to cash in? My expression turned grim. In the comments section below, many people actually spoke up for me. Free live streaming is called cashing in. I suggest you look up how to write the word cashing in the dictionary. You're the one who freeloads and then criticizes the chef. Sounds like an internet beggar to me, doesn't it? With your kind of negativity, I bet you even see public service announcements as sales pitches. Song Xian was completely triggered and started arguing directly with netizens in the comments section. Are you all out of your minds, rushing to give Song Yu money? She's only streaming to get your gifts, acting all high and mighty. Can't you see through that? Finally, she was kicked offline by the system for using profanity. I watched coldly, not stopping her. In her previous life, from her debut to becoming a top star, she had always spoken without restraint, and I had lost count of how many times I had to clean up her mess. Nowadays, with the internet so advanced, the number of viewers in my live stream has already reached 20 million. It won't be long before everyone learns about how she stole her grandmother's money and kicked me out of the house before the college entrance exams. Those I once sheltered in an ivory tower in my past life should now get a taste of what it's like to be devoured by the backlash of public attention. My smile remained unchanged, unaffected by Song Xian's words. As I continued to connect with other callers, after addressing all the questions, I waved to the screen. Thank you all for patiently listening. We'll meet again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock sharp. The comments in the chat were also buzzing with activity. After listening, I felt full of hope for life, until I glanced at my monthly exam results. Next time, bring your parents along for the live stream. Let them recognize the genetic gap. Thanks to the expert for making me realize, the only thing standing between me and Tsinghua/Beijing University is a brain. Top scorer, sharing experience, netizens, collective incense offering, electronic merit edition. Amidst a barrage of bullet comments, I clicked to end the stream. My first live stream brought me earnings as high as tens of millions. With that money, I repaid my online loans and the debt to my homeroom teacher, and I also found a well-located burial plot for my grandmother. For the next month of streaming, I turned off the gift-giving feature and declined offers from advertisers. Song Xian never came to cause trouble again. She was exposed by others and had her hands full dealing with her own issues, so she had no choice but to leave the internet, change her residence, and disappear from my world. School started in September. I packed my bags and enrolled in the country's top science and engineering university, Q University, majoring in hyperdimensional computing and crisis Simulation Science. This major is only offered at Q University nationwide, and it admits only 3 students each year. This has always been my dream, yet, to have the financial means to clean up Song Science messes, I had to give up chasing my dream time and again. I gave up the chance to change my major, the chance to pursue a master's degree. In this lifetime, I finally have the opportunity to fulfill my dream. The first year of university passed very pleasantly, and Song Science never appeared again. As time went by, I almost forgot about her existence until, during the second year's orientation, I was stopped on campus by a girl who felt both strange and familiar. Sister, I looked at the girl with confusion, and it took me a long time to find a hint of familiarity in her unfamiliar face. Are you, Song Science? Yes, sister. Do I look pretty? Song Science gently stroked her face, which was full of traces of plastic surgery, and gave me a sweet smile. Sorry, classmate, I don't have a sister, only a grandmother who has already passed away. Please don't call just anyone sister. I take a step back, putting some distance between myself and Song Science, eyeing her warily. The smile on Song Science's face remains unchanged. It's fine if you don't want to acknowledge me as your sister, but as a senior welcoming new students, there's no problem in showing me, a new junior, around the campus. Right, there is a problem. I turned around to leave, but my roommate quickly grabbed me. Hey, Song. The great beauty, you're my living advertisement for recruiting new members, and you still need to help me attract juniors to join the club. You absolutely can't leave. My roommate blinked her big eyes, looking at me pleadingly. I'm really afraid of you. I sighed helplessly, avoided Song Science, and walked to the other side. Song Science didn't leave immediately but stood there, chatting with my roommate about something. After a while, my roommate came over and told me that she was going to show the new junior who had joined the club around the school and would come find me when it was time for dinner. I nodded to show I understood. Looking up, I saw Song Science give me a slight smile and silently mouth something. Sister, you can't escape. My roommate pulled Song Science away. I stared in the direction they left for a long while before lowering my gaze. Song Science, I won't run away. I'll be waiting for you. The afternoon passed by quickly. When it was time for dinner, I kept my promise and waited for my roommate at the agreed spot for half an hour. She didn't show up, so I had no choice but to head to the cafeteria first. After finishing my meal, I returned to the dormitory from the cafeteria, only to find my roommate already there. Seeing me, she froze for a moment, then, as if snapping back to reality, she affectionately wrapped her arm around mine. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was having such a great time chatting with my junior that I completely forgot I had made plans to have dinner with you. It's okay. I gave a faint smile and subtly withdrew my hand. As early as 10 minutes ago, I had received a picture from an unknown number on my phone. In the picture, my roommate and Song Science were dining at an upscale restaurant off campus, both wearing bright smiles. Following the text message was a sentence: Sister, I will take everything from you, including your friends. As the new school year begins, I am preparing to submit my application to join Professor Zhuang's research team. The application materials are still missing some key components. Lately, I have been so busy that I can hardly catch my breath. By the time I finished my busy period, my roommate and Song Science had become as close as one person. From what I know of Song Science, her goal is definitely not just to take my friend away. She wants to ruin me. Getting close to my roommate is probably just one part of her plan. The deadline for Professor Zhuang's team to receive application materials is 4 p.m. today. For the first time ever, I didn't leave the dorm in the morning. Instead, I sat right at the desk by my lower bunk and started wrapping up my work. At 11 in the morning, I stretched and yawned. When I looked up, I noticed my roommate staring at me. I smiled faintly. What's wrong? Is there something on my face? And no, nothing. My roommate's eyes flickered with a hint of panic as she picked up her water glass and took a big gulp. Take it slow, no one's going to snatch it from you. I looked at her with concern, though a faint, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. It's already 11. Want to grab a meal together? It's been a while since we last ate together. I extended an invitation to my roommate, but she awkwardly shook her head. No, I've already made plans with someone else. I didn't ask her who that someone else was. I didn't need to ask. It was most likely Song Science. I nodded. All right then, maybe next time we can go together. Leaving the dorm, I went straight to the cafeteria. After finishing my meal, I took a stroll along the tree-lined path, estimating that enough time had passed before returning to the dorm. The dorm room door was wide open. My roommate was nowhere to be seen, and both her computer and mine were soaking in the sink. I swiped a few times on my phone, After a while, a strange smile appeared on my face. While waiting, my roommate also returned. Upon seeing the scene inside the room, she let out a scream, and the milk tea in her hand fell to the ground. My computer. My roommate rushed into the dorm, frantically fishing the computer out of the sink and grabbing a dry cloth to wipe it down. If she hadn't kept sneaking glances at my reaction, the act would have been more convincing. Yeah, I'm so sorry, I forgot to close the door when I went out earlier. I never imagined someone could be so malicious, sneaking in to cause trouble. Don't worry, this is my fault. I'll compensate you for the computer. Compensate me. Do you know how long I've been preparing my materials? I raised an eyebrow and looked at her. A helpless expression appeared on my roommate's face. But yeah, I didn't mean for this to happen either. The computer is already ruined, and blaming me won't help. I was infuriated by my roommate's shamelessness and replied coldly, it's fine, I've called the police. My computer is custom-made and worth $200,000, which counts as a valuable item. The police will help find the culprit. My roommate's eyes widened. Did you call the police? What? My important things were destroyed, shouldn't I call the police? I looked at my roommate with amusement. Her eyes were evasive, and her voice began to stammer. And no, you should. The roommate returned to their own bed and pulled the bed curtain shut. The WeChat notification sound kept chiming incessantly, and it was unclear who they were chatting with so fervently. Finally, I heard the sound of a transfer notification. The roommate sighed, put down their phone, and got out of bed. The police arrived very quickly. The dorm supervisor and the counselor also came together. In front of everyone, I took a hidden camera out from inside the doll on the side of my desk. The camera surveillance range was exactly my desk area. Isn't this the doll ornament you just took out this morning? Song-Yu, are you deliberately trying to harm me? My roommate's face flushed red as she struggled to lunge forward and strangle me, but the police officer swiftly restrained her. I seized the moment to add fuel to the fire. Officer, my roommate has been receiving a lot of extra income lately. Now that she's suddenly targeting me, I suspect someone is behind this. You might want to check her recent transaction records. Don't worry, Ms. Song, we will get to the bottom of this, the police officer assured me. I nodded, since I had other matters to attend to in the afternoon, and considering I was the victim. The police simply took my statement on the spot before escorting my roommate away. The crowd dispersed, leaving only Song Xin standing at the door. She glared at me fiercely. Song-Yu, I never expected you to be so ruthless, to call the police on a friend you've lived with for a year. Just like that, those who do bad things must face punishment, don't they? I smiled faintly, pulling out the necklace from around my neck, at the end of which was a USB drive. Song Xin, look, good people still get their rewards. I happen to have a backup of my data, and those who tried to harm me have received the punishment they deserve. Oh. Right, I pretended to have a sudden realization and slapped my forehead. I won't sign a criminal-style letter of understanding. She'll have to spend at least 3 years in prison. Do you think she'll spend the rest of her life relying on you after she gets out? Song Xion's expression visibly changed. I couldn't help but sneer. Perhaps I had always kept my fangs hidden in front of her, making her mistake a wolf for a dog. Song Xion, don't provoke me, you'll regret it. This is the last time I'll let you off, out of respect for Grandma. The dormitory door slowly closed, and Song Xion's legs gave way, collapsing to the ground. The aftermath of this incident, my roommate was sentenced to 3 years in prison, expelled from school, and had to compensate me. She did not implicate Song Xion, taking all the blame upon herself. As for the transfers Song Xion made to her, they were explained as financial aid for a needy student. However, the truth was that her roommate came from a well-off family and was not a needy student at all. But who says that someone from a well-off family cannot receive financial aid? In the end, the matter was left unresolved. After that, Song Xion did behave more discreetly. She still followed the path of her previous life and entered the entertainment industry. However, she had a poor reputation among the general public and was often criticized by anti-fans for having a plastic surgery face. Compared to the circumstances of her previous life, it was like night and day. At the end of my sophomore year, Professor Zhuang approached me. He had a national-level secret project in hand and asked if I was interested in joining. Those were Professor Zhuang's exact words. The code name for this project is Spark. It requires signing a confidentiality agreement, lasts for 8 years, and involves complete isolation from the outside world during that period. A young girl like you shouldn't normally be involved in the Spark project. The preference is for comrades who are already married and have children, but there are few people in our field, and you're a promising talent. I thought, at the very least, I should ask if you're willing. No need to answer me right away. Take a month to think it over, consider it carefully, and let me know once you've made up your mind." After Professor Zhuang finished speaking, he turned to leave, and I immediately called out to him, "Professor, I'm willing to participate. I'm an orphan, and since I was young, I've always received help from all walks of life, like from my grandmother, my homeroom teacher. Having the chance to give back to society is an honor for me, but you're still so young, in the prime of your life." Professor Zhuang couldn't help but feel a bit reluctant. Precisely because I am young and have more abundant energy, I should do something meaningful. I looked sincerely at Professor Zhuang. "Professor, I have no family left in this world. My situation is the most suitable for research." Professor Zhuang sighed and agreed. Unsure in his heart whether he felt regret or relief, there was 1 month left before the departure date, and the professor gave me a break to relax. Suddenly, I realized I had nowhere to go. After thinking for a while, I bought a plane ticket and flew directly to Linhuai City. Following my memory, I knocked on my homeroom teacher's door. My homeroom teacher still remembered me. She personally cooked a table full of delicious dishes. I accidentally ate too much. The homeroom teacher's cooking was delicious, just like grandma's. With a taste of home, leaving Linhuai City, I wandered aimlessly, occasionally spotting Song Xian's billboards on the streets. It wasn't until the agreed-upon date was approaching that I finally headed back to Q University. The effect of walking around was very obvious. My soul felt purified. If I didn't have other things to do, I might have become a monk on the spot. The night before departure, I received a call from Song Xian. On the phone, she asked me through tears, "Sister, did I really do something wrong?" I remained silent for a long while, offering no response, and chose to hang up the phone. No matter what dirty business she encountered or what truth she uncovered, from the moment she killed me with her own hands, it had nothing to do with me anymore. Our familial bond was severed by her own hands the moment she pushed me down the stairs. The next day, I set off as usual. The days of research were busy yet fulfilling, as we cut off all contact with the outside world. While other researchers gazed at photos, missing their families, I would run to the sand dunes of the base to look at the moon. 8 years passed in the blink of an eye, and the Spark project achieved a breakthrough. When we returned from the base to the steel forests and architectural torrents, many of us showed symptoms of struggling to readjust to society. We were accompanied by guards, responsible for ensuring our safety and helping us reintegrate into society. The person above asked me, "Ms. Song, is there anything you'd like to do?" "I want to become a nun." The person sent by the higher-ups to communicate was taken aback. I quickly shrugged my shoulders. "Don't mind me, I was just joking. I say it out of habit. Nothing's wrong." The other person wiped the cold sweat from their forehead and then spoke. "Ms. Song, we found out you have a younger sister. However, she has been sentenced to 20 years for drug use, group promiscuity, bribery, and other crimes. Would you like to see her?" "No need. Help me prepare a new identity." I smiled slightly and winked slyly at the communicator. "The original Song Yu is already dead." Walking out of the building, I closed my eyes. Nervously, I spread my arms as if embracing something. Under the sunlight, a faint, fine line appears at the corner of my eye. It's almost invisible unless you look closely. 10 years have passed. Grandma, are you satisfied with the answer I've given? After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.